Hello, everybody. It is Thursday in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My name is Adam Bittner, Assistant Sports Editor for Multimedia at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. This is the PG Steelers NFL Draft live stream from Aslin Beer Company in the Strip District. We're in the Strip District Terminal. I'm joined by Paul Zeise, Christopher Carter, Steelers Insider, Post-Gazette Sports columnist. We're going to be taking you through the NFL Draft tonight from a Steelers perspective. If you want to hear about all of the players and all the teams, that's kind of what the TV broadcasts are for. We're going to be reacting to each pick in terms of what it means for the Steelers, guys they might be looking at, guys they might not, what we think their biggest needs are as the board evolves. So it's a very Steelers-tailored show. We'll be talking a little bit about Pitt, Penn State, West Virginia prospects as well as it becomes relevant. So if you've watched a lot of these guys at the college level, we will have insight on them. We will also be hearing from our Steelers insiders, Fittipaldo, Brian Batko. They are on the south side at the team's facility. They'll be bringing us any news or reaction from over there for all 3 days of the NFL Draft. We're also hoping that we'll be able to hear from Noah Hiles. He's on the North Shore where the actual event is playing out. We're not sure if we'll technically be able to get him or not, just because there are a lot of people here, and as you've probably known, if you've gone to a big event, sometimes signals are difficult to get. But that is the breakdown of what we're going to be doing here tonight. So we hope you can settle in with us, maybe as a second screen, keep an eye on the scenes on the North Shore, hear the picks, but then also be listening to us for your Steelers insight. We're watching on the screens here at Aslin as Roger Goodell is introducing the draft. I'm sure there's lots of boos. We do want to, before I move on, also thank Aslin Beer Company for hosting us this year. This has been a great spot for the last couple of weeks for us as we've learned about them and the food. The food's great. The beer's great. We have an amp down here, so if you want to come down and check out the show live and you are within distance of being able to come down here amid all the traffic, please consider coming out, supporting us, supporting us as a beer company. And with that, I'm going to check in with my guys here. First of all, go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, you missed the punchline. It's Cam Heyward and TJ Watt with the commissioner. They're all waving their terrible towels, getting the crowd going crazy. That's what this is all about, isn't it, Adam?
It is, and it feels like we're in the middle of it all, but we're kind of near the middle of it all because we're in the
Roger
strip. We're not all over there.
Washington and Jefferson grad, by the way. But go ahead.
It's a very Pittsburgh draft. I guess let's start with your expectations for the evening's guys. The Steelers drafted number 21 overall, so we're going to have to settle in here. It's going to be a long night, but I'll start with Chris. What are you looking for this evening?
Right now, we have been breaking things down for you the entire NFL draft, going over all the different draft options. We have been narrowing down the Steelers' top pre-draft visitors, who their targets could be, whether they could be a wide receiver, guard, defensive back, defensive tackle, all the different options, even offensive tackle is on the board. But what I think we've narrowed things down to, guys, I think we've narrowed things down to the Steelers. They could really use a playmaker wide receiver or a superstar guard, and there are limited options in the first round for those two types of positions, which kind of puts them in a position where they could either trade up, stay pat. There is a few trade back options, but I really do think we need to be on watch. Once the 10th overall pick comes off the board, the Steelers could be in a trade up territory to go get one of these elite level prospects.
Paul, what are your expectations? What are you watching this evening?
Yeah, I think it's the same thing. I mean, the Steelers, for weeks and weeks and weeks, unless people are completely misreading the tea leaves, right? The Steelers are going to take either a tackle, a guard, or a receiver in the first round. And you know, your guy from Penn State, obviously, I don't know if he's going to drop far enough for them to want to move up to go get him, but that's the kind of player that probably we're going to watch them play. In general, my general thoughts of every draft is the same, Chris, and you probably can agree with me. Mm-hmm. It's a passing league, which means the guys that they want the most are the guys that either pass the football, the guys that either protect the guy who passes the football, or the guys who try and intercept him, or the guys that rush him. So we're going to see a lot of edge rushers come off the board quick, I think, today. Corners come off the board, and tackles as well. So the Steelers probably could use, of those things, a corner and a tackle.
Yep.
So maybe, guard is where they go, or receiver.
And the thing about receiver, too, I recently did a full piece studying the wide receiver position and how it's been drafted over the last 25 years. Right now, in the last 6 years of the NFL draft, you are seeing receivers being drafted higher than ever before in NFL history, and teams having a higher hit rate of finding successful wide receivers in NFL history. And so what that tells me is if you want to get your wide receiver, go up and get them early, because most of those hits are all coming early in the first round when teams are searching there. And yes, there are some hits here in the late on day 3. You get your random Puka Nacua, your Antonio Brown, your Stephon Diggs, but those are so few and far between when it comes to top first round guys the teams are getting, especially in the top 20 or even top 15 picks. So if I'm the Steelers, I want to be in that range, get one of those elite receiver prospects. And to me, there are 3 names that come to mind: Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, Makai Lemon out of USC, and Jordyn Tyson out of Arizona State. Between those 3 big names, there's other guys that are good first-round prospects. Omar Cooper of Indiana, Casey Concepcion of Texas A&M, Denzel Boston of Washington. But between the top 3, I think if you want to get a guy that you think will be someday a top 10 wide receiver, Lemon, Tyson, those are your real options. Carnell Tate, I think he's the top receiver prospect. He'll be gone inside the top 10. The Steelers got to hope to get one of the other 2.
I think interesting, maybe we can talk about this. Terry Bradshaw is here tonight. One big happy family for the Steelers up on the stage. Lynn Swann, Ben Roethlisberger, they're all together, Paul. And we know Terry's been in the headlines for some of the things he said about the Steelers, but he's here with the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. Any thoughts on Terry being around?
Well, I mean, listen, Terry Bradshaw's had a really interesting relationship with the Steelers ever since he retired. He had a time when he wouldn't even come around. Then there was the whole thing when Chuck Noll died, and he was actually doing a show at the Meadows in Washington and couldn't make the 25-minute drive up for the funeral. That didn't go very well. He's been back a few times. And then, of course, him and Ben Roethlisberger haven't exactly been bosom buddies.
They were just on the same stage.
And they were just on the same stage, one big happy family, like you said. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Terry Bradshaw's here because he's got duties with Fox, or I mean, are they doing anything for the draft?
Strictly speaking, I don't think that their Sunday studio team has to be here. So I think he's here
well,
with his volition.
Maybe he's here, and that's a good thing. He comes back, and then of course in about 6 months he'll say something inflammatory that'll irritate everybody again.
He'll be right back.
And so it'll be right back to where it's been an interesting thing. I mean, the other guy is Jack Lambert, is a guy who he's had a really weird relationship with it, and never really shows up for anything. But to each his own.
Indeed, the Raiders are on the clock for the number 1 overall pick. I think we all generally expect.
Gee, who's it going to be?
Yeah,
it's going to be Fernando Mendoza of Indiana, the national championship winning quarterback. I guess it's worth talking about him for a moment because we spent so much time, Chris, on these podcasts a year ago saying, well, the Steelers got to stock up picks because that 2026 NFL draft quarterback class is going to be where the Steelers are going to find their franchise guy. It's going to be maybe Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. It's maybe going to be Cade Klubnik from Clemson. It's maybe going to be Drew Aller from Penn State. Not going to be any of those guys going 1-1 tonight. It's going to be Mendoza. Let me phrase the question this way, Chris. Is he a guy the Steelers are going to regret not having had the chance to draft just because he's going to go so high and they're drafting a 21 overall?
I mean, each year you could say that about the first overall pick. Man, you wish you could get that guy unless you already have that guy. I think Fernando Mendoza stands to be a really good NFL quarterback. I don't know if he's going to be an elite one. I think he is along the lines of Jared Goff. Jared Goff, in my mind, very good NFL quarterback. You want him as your starter. But not a top 5 guy, not a top 10 guy, I think a lot of people would argue. I think Mendoza's along those lines. Listen, this kid's tough. You saw it at Indiana. You saw him take huge shots, get right back up, and make big-time throws. He stands tall in the big moments. Even when he makes mistakes, he bounces back. You see that the Raiders are already shaking each other's hands and jabbing each other.
Why they all hug each other after they make a pick?
They do. They know what the deal was. He knows what the deal is.
They know they're going to pick this guy for 6 months or whatever it's been.
This is the worst-kept secret in the NFL. This is the about this. I think right now, if you're the NFL, everyone knows that Fernando Mendoza is getting picked by the Raiders. That has been a bygone conclusion.
Right. I was going to say this. I think he's either going to be Joe Burrow-esque, who, if you remember, Joe Burrow didn't have a great career until his last year at LSU. He went crazy at LSU when he had a super team around him, sort of like this guy. Or he's going to be Kenny Pickett-esque, where he didn't have, Kenny Pickett didn't have a great career until his last year, and everything went, and his physical limitations have made it really difficult for him to be a good NFL quarterback. The bottom line is, Chris, I think this quarterback crop, and this going back to the Steelers, I think this quarterback crop is every bit as bad as 2022 when Kenny Pickett got picked. And if you look at that crop, right? If you look at that, the best one of them all was Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
And everybody's hoping that this Malik Willis, that one game, suggests he's going to be a good player. But other than that, they've all been busts, basically. I don't know that I see a lot of good quarterbacks in this group.
I think that Mendoza is like if Mendoza was in that 2022 pick, he'd still draft class. He would still probably go first overall back then. But I do agree with you. The rest of it is not good. I don't trust Ty Simpson. Anybody that's saying Ty Simpson, Alabama, go for him in the first round, I don't see it. I think he had a rough year once teams adjusted to how he played. He didn't bounce back really. He's had 1 year as a starter. I usually want to see at least 1.5, 2 years as a starter in college football as a quarterback. And then on top of that, I look at the other guys, like you said earlier, Drew Allard. I don't see it with Drew Allard. I don't see it with Carson Beck, with Garrett Nussmeier. All these names, to me, those are day 3 backup quarterbacks that I wait to draft after I've figured out other, starters that I can find diamonds in the rough late in round 2 or round 3. But quarterback, this isn't the year. It's funny. We were saying this last year. People said, well, wait a second. Last year you said that the quarterbacks weren't good then too. Yeah, and I'm saying again, you don't take bad quarterbacks. Just because you need a quarterback doesn't mean you should take a bad quarterback over a great wide receiver or a great guard.
All you need to know is Cade Klubnik is in the top 10 among some of these lists that I've seen.
Oh,
Cade
boy.
Klubnik.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad one.
Cade Klubnik, for God's sakes.
Fernando Mendoza's official.
There we go.
He's selected. Listen, there have been some takes this week because Fernando Mendoza is not here in Pittsburgh. Some Steelers fans, maybe just some locals, taking it as a diss. It doesn't bother me. I know he wanted to be close to family. Any thoughts, guys? Paul, I'll maybe start with you on him not making the journey to be the 1-1 pick in Pittsburgh.
Here's what I'll say. I mean, I believe, like the NFL, since they're going to be your employer, they put all this time and effort into this show. You'd think they'd have their best players. Hey, you got to be here. But he's got a special situation where his mom has got MS and it's really hard for her to travel and all that other stuff. So I can see that. And the other thing is there's 17 guys here. That's more than enough, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think if you know anything about him, and I've watched a lot of stuff with him and read a lot of stuff about him. He's the kind of kid. If he could be here, he would have been here. I don't think he was dissing Pittsburgh. I think it just was a matter of he wanted to be able to share it with his mom.
Yeah, and I think that's understandable. And, I don't know, Chris, that the draft picks necessarily carry this event, right? Like, yes, sometimes they do when it's poor Aaron Rodgers sitting in the green room and slipping down the board, and it makes for great drama. I think Will Levis was that guy a few years back. And it's good television, but it certainly doesn't feel good for them. I think some guys want to avoid that, and I don't necessarily blame them.
I don't blame them either. Like, sometimes it's just about, you got some personal circumstances. That's totally fine by me, guys. I don't besmirch Fernando Mendoza, especially it was I think it was encouraging or really nice to see how supportive his father was of his mother when in the stands celebrating, and he makes sure to celebrate with her. Like, that to me, I think is cherished. So yeah, not surprised at that at all. I think that's great. Fernando Mendoza's getting interviewed right now as the Jets are. I guess they're probably making some rounds right now, making sure does anyone want to trade up for this number 2 pick and give it an absorbent price. But I imagine we'll get the number 2 pick soon. But this is where things start to differ, because a lot of people have the Jets taking Arvell Reese. the Ohio State linebacker that a lot of people think could be the next Micah Parsons, or taking David Bailey, the guy a lot of people say is the #1 edge rusher, who's a natural edge rusher, whereas Arvell Reese is a off-ball linebacker who people think will convert to edge rusher in the NFL. I've been going Arvell Reese because he's the better athlete, but we will see what the Jets go with here.
Indeed, we will. Gentlemen, thoughts on the spectacle here in Pittsburgh? I think we just want to focus on that for a minute because great crowd, looks great on TV, the city is popping. However, we all managed to get down here and park just fine. So if you've been terrified of the crowds, of the traffic, of all that, there's plenty of parking here in the Strip District at Aslin Beer Company. So if you're looking to enjoy the event, I think some of the apocalyptic projections for how ugly it could get in the city have proven to be a little over the top. I guess we'll see tomorrow when it's a Friday. Maybe more people want to get out and about than on a Thursday, but it seemed like the event has been going off much more smoothly than I think a lot of people expected in the lead up to this event, really for the last 2 years since we've been talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think one of the things that people misunderstood what the number was of how many people were coming down here. You know, the way the NFL counts it, it's cumulative throughout 3 days, not 700,000 or 600,000 people coming down. It was 125, 150,000 going through the gates 3 or 4 times over the course of the next 3 days. So it seems like really the bus system that they had, you know, from different remote parking lots, the T going down there, the ability to park and walk. I mean, it seems like they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah. Chris, any of your thoughts?
David Bailey is the pick for the Jets at 2nd overall. That will set the board moving forward. He is the first defensive player selected in this draft class, the top edge rusher by a lot of people's margins. I have him as the #2 edge rusher behind Ruben Bain, but that's interesting. And now Arvell Reese is gonna go down a step. A lot of people have been asking, will Arvell Reese or Sonny Styles go first? Both of them off-ball linebackers for Ohio State. Both of them freakish profiles. Arizona is going to be in an interesting spot because a lot of people have been having them go offensive tackle, but they could go either one of those guys. They could also go Jeremiah Love, a running back, which is rarely a sight to see picked in the top 5. But this is where the draft is going to start to pivot out, and we're going to see which direction certain positions go by.
Well, I would tell you this. You know, I thought that people were probably a little tough on Ryan Day until I see that he has 5 guys ranked in the top 21 prospects.
Yeah.
The guy should have won the national title. He should have won the national title. I don't want to hear it anymore. I know he's like 97-5 or whatever he is since he's taken over. He's underachieved when you look at the number of guys they have. You know, you're a Big Ten guy.
Right. Yeah.
That's true, but listen, I think Indiana winning the national championship proves that there's a lot more parity in this sport than there was a decade ago.
I will agree with that.
That NIL money is flowing to programs you may or may not expect, and I think it makes it tougher, even if you are one of those power-dominant programs like Ohio State is. You got more teams that are nipping at your heels, so... Chris, I did want to talk about the final mocks because I did my final NFL mock draft tracker on post-gazette.com. I think that published around 10 or 11 a.m. today, and the national experts are all over an offensive tackle for the Steelers at number 21. That's where they think the energy is going. We've had that conversation a dozen times probably since February after the Super Bowl of, do the Steelers really need to go that direction with Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu being their number 1 picks in 2 of the previous 3 drafts to this one? I think we dismissed the idea out of hand until this week. You have a national report that there was a setback with Broderick Jones in his injury recovery. The Steelers, I don't want to say they full-throatedly said that's not true, but they did seem to push back on it a little bit. And I think that report and that reaction has taken a lot of national experts to, okay, they really want to do this with the offensive tackle. Mike McCarthy really wants to get a new blindside blocker. The Broderick Jones era may be at an end. what do you make of the national perspective? I know you've been talking about a separator.
Yeah.
If I could sum up the whole mock draft season in one word for you, separator's the word. You want that guy a receiver, but that's not the direction the national experts are going here. Any thoughts on that?
A lot of people are really pushing this Broderick Jones narrative, and like, look, Broderick Jones suffered a very unfortunate injury with a neck injury, and there was a reported questionable setback. We didn't see any confirmation from that from the Steelers. It seems like, and they've been very clear, like they expect Broderick Jones to be back by training camp time. Then they'll get a chance to see what he's like. And go from there. But they got Dylan Cook, and he filled in the last 3-4 games for the Steelers and was very strong in doing so. So I don't think that they see this as a dire position where they have to go get a tackle. Because here's the thing, guys. If they draft offensive tackle, it'll be in the first round. It'll be the third time in the last 4 years they've drafted an offensive tackle in the first round. And that's not how you build your roster out. And listen, you want to have great offensive line, you want to make sure things solidified, but they have a really good offensive line. Even when Broderick Jones got hurt, Troy Fautanu, Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier, they all stepped up. Dylan Cook filled in very well. This was a very good offensive line that played a huge factor in this team fighting and winning the division and making it to the playoffs for, the third time in a row? So I think that the offensive line is in the direction that you want. You need to go out and get an elite player. Now, you could get guard because you lost Isaac Seumalo, and you can afford to go get Vega Ioane if he falls far enough and you feel the trade-up is happening. I don't see him falling to 21.
You're the GM of the Steelers, Tris.
Yeah.
Francis Maui
Noah
from Miami's on the board, and Vega Ioane is on the board. Who are you taking?
Ooh, that's tough because I love Maui Noah. I think he's the best offensive tackle in the draft class. But here's the thing: Maui Noah is going like top 10.
He is. I'm saying both of them are on the board. I'm going position. Obviously, you got the best guard and the best tackle.
Maui Noah. I would go Maui Noah over Ioane.
Okay.
Paul, what do you think of all the mock draft guys? Do you think they know something that they're hearing from their sources, and that's why we're seeing this rash of picks? Do you think it's just a matter of sometimes the top guys do it, and then everyone follows them, and there's just a lot of groupthink? What do you make of the national trend?
I think a lot of these picks fall into place. You know what I mean? I really do, and I think that's part of what happens is they all of their sources sort of tell them. You know what I mean? Like, this is who, we're looking in this direction, we're looking here. And then after a composite of about, 2 or 3 weeks of conversations and whatever, a lot of it starts to fall into place because you see a lot of these mock drafts that aren't that different. Maybe a spot or two, but for the most part, the guys that are at the top are at the top, the guys that, you know what I mean? So I do think there is what I call a lot of educated guessing going on, and sometimes they're wrong. And then, of course, what happens, a team out of nowhere trades into a spot and takes a guy, and that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can justify a tackle to me a couple of different ways. A is if there's really something wrong with Broderick Jones that we don't know, and they've moved on from him from a 2026 perspective, and because it's the final year of his contract, maybe that means you just move on from him altogether. Maybe he latches on with another team and earns his way back into a starting spot. But if they know something is much worse than what has been publicly reported, I could justify it. The other way I could justify it, Chris, is I've seen a few people say, well, this guy can kick into guard. I saw that today with Blake Miller specifically. I think I saw Daniel Jeremiah and a couple of other big experts say, well, they need a guard and a tackle, and he can bounce back inside.
The number 3 pick is in. The Arizona Cardinals have selected running back Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame. I got to look up the last time a running back was selected 3rd overall. I did not have him going this high.
Where was Barkley picked?
I think Barkley was 2nd.
Oh, was he 2nd? I thought he was 6th. Okay, well then I guess he's the most recent since Barkley.
I think we can always look that up. Let's look up Saquon Barkley, but I thought he was really high.
I will just continue my rant here on the offensive lineman, though. They were saying Blake Miller could play inside, and then you look at his profile. He's played 54 games.
2nd overall, correct.
He's played 54 games at right tackle. He's never been the blindside blocker at Clemson, and he's never played at guard. When these scouts say this, Chris. I never really know what to make of they're like, oh yeah, this guy can just go where this team needs him to go, and there's no issue. It's rarely that simple in my experience with the guys the Steelers have drafted.
Agree. I mean, it's never that simple. You got to have guys that fit what you're trying to do. You got to have guys, and that's often why when you see the Senior Bowl, like for example, Keelan Rutledge, really good guard, day 2 prospect, Georgia Tech, mauling physical player, but everyone at the Senior Bowl was like, can you play center? Can you play left and right guard? Can you switch between it? And so he showed, I could do all that. And so teams want to see, can you do that? And even though you might show it at a Senior Bowl level, you might not be able to do it at a consistent level at the NFL. It's not a given. So I do think that's something to take into consideration. There are such things as guys that are right tackles, guys that are left tackles, guys who are going to be premier pass protecting tackles versus guys who are premier run blocking tackles. So that's definitely part of the picture as well.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I think one of the things about the Steelers and tackles, and I agree with you, Chris, they've taken 2 over the last, 2 or 3 drafts, but to me, you got to get it right at tackle. That's the biggest thing. And, I think a lot of times it's funny. The tackles that are at the top of the draft usually are pretty good, except for Broderick Jones. He's been a guy that struggled. But once you get past about 15, I think it becomes a little bit more of a crapshoot with the tackles for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, Adam. There's so many different ways you can try and evaluate a guy, and to me, I feel like if the Steelers have a chance to draft a tackle, unless Vega, say his last name for me.
I think it's Vega.
Vega Ioane.
Vega Ioane. Unless he's on the board, I would like to see them take a tackle.
Yeah, I can understand that perspective as well. I think Broderick Jones, too, I will stick up for him a little bit, though. He was dreadful in that Week 1 loss to the Jets. I believe he gave up 3 sacks and a ton of other pressures. And from that point forward, Chris, was not terrible statistically speaking. Wasn't great, wasn't a former number 1 pick, but he had a decent season after that first week.
He had a very good season after that. I mean, that was the thing. When he went down, it was a concern because he had fixed the Steelers' left tackle problems. By midseason, he was an asset in the run game. He was not getting bullied in the pass game, and you saw him really contributing. That was the thing. When he went down in Chicago, like that, there were worries that might have killed the season. Now, Dylan Cook came in, filled in admirably. He was a great pass protector. He bought the Steelers so much time and against really good edge rushers. So for me, I was impressed by Dylan Cook, but I was impressed by Broderick Jones this year. So for me, I'm not here to say he's a bad player. I think he started off looking rough, but he was also drafted knowing he was young. He was very raw, and it was a project. So the 3rd year of the project was going well before the season-ending injury. If the Steelers know that he'll be back for training camp, I think they'll want to see the 4th year of this project through before they go and say, let's invest a first-round pick. Now, I do think the Steelers select a tackle this year, but I think they wait until maybe the 3rd or the 4th round to do so. A guy like Caleb Tiernan, a guy like Markel Bell, guys that are in the middle of this draft where they can be depth development guys.
Are those guys... what's the upside with those guys, Chris? Because I think part of why we see this pressure to get these first-round tackles is because, to Paul's point, a guy can go like, if the Steelers draft at 21, they might be getting the 6th or 7th or 8th best tackle. So you're already at the end of that first round, so far down the board. Can you get good tackles in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round? Or are those guys going to be much harder to get to pan out simply because the tackles get drafted so early and you're down to the 15th, 16th, 17th guy so quickly?
Well, I mean, I think that's the key is when you draft 21, you're likely not going to get one of the best guys at those premier positions that I talked about. So then, the Steelers have always had a philosophy where they've talked a little bit about, we're going to take the best guy available. But I've always said they're really saying we're going to take the best guy available at one of our positions of need.
Yes.
Guys, this is probably the craziest first pick now. Carnell Tate is going to the Titans at 4. Nobody had Carnell Tate going this early, They had him going maybe 7, 8 at the tops. The wide receiver market is now open, and that could scare the Steelers if they're trying to get one of these top wide receivers.
Where did you have Carnell Tate going, Chris?
I had him going 7 to the Commanders. I thought the Commanders would be the first team because there's some really good other position players out there. Francis Maui Noah is still on the board. Guys, Sonny Styles is still here. Arvell Reese is still here. These guys were supposed to be flying off in this first round. Caleb Downs is still around. This is very interesting to me to see it play out this way. We'll see if these guys come next here. But the Steelers, they need to be on watch if a run at wide receiver starts to happen for these receiver-needy teams, because I had 2 receivers maybe going in the top 10. You might see 3 now.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They basically went out and got their young quarterback a weapon.
Yep.
And that's basically how you build a team, really, if you think about it, right? I mean, I understand why you do it. I am, like you, very shocked that it's already talking about receivers, because boy, if the Steelers pick, they could be picking, those 3 guys that we've talked about.
Long gone.
Gone. I mean, and then we're back in that situation where you're getting the 5th or 6th best player at that position.
Yep.
What impact, practically speaking, do you think the Commanders are still looking at a receiver at number 7?
They could be.
If they were going to Carnell Tate, they'd say, hey, we didn't get him, but we still want one of these receivers. We still believe in them enough. I think that's going to be what's interesting. So who's the second receiver off the board? Because that's going to say to me a lot more about where the premium is going to be in this draft, Chris.
Well, there's 2 guys that come to mind for me. Makai Lemon out of USC and Jordyn Tyson out of Arizona State. Now, I will say this. If Jordyn Tyson did not have the injury history he had, especially towards the end of his collegiate career, he might have been the first receiver off the board, because his athletic profile on the field looks ridiculous. Great catch radius, great playmaker ability, has all the traits that you want. But the injury history scares some teams. So, with that, that's where I think Makai Lemon might jump him. But now he's done a pro day. Some teams feel like he's back to being the number 2 wide receiver. But it's going to be one of those 2 guys that go next. And now the question is, when does that happen? We know the Giants want a wide receiver. Will they be going in the background? That could be something that could happen at 5 or 10, because they have 2 picks here. The Giants are now on the clock with Carnell Tate going to the Titans.
And what do the Giants need?
The Giants, in my opinion, they need to go get a defensive stud here. John Harbaugh, he's always lived in his best years with great linebackers. Go get Sonny Styles. That would be my pick if I'm them here. But I did not think Arvell Reese would be available here, so that's another guy that I'd be looking at here. Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles would be either one of my choices if I'm the Giants right here.
Okay. I'm trying to see, one of these things has like a breakdown of what the Giants generally need. The pick is already in, so I think they're probably going to go with your guy from Ohio State. I mean, he was supposed to be the number 2 prospect overall, and he's dropped to 5.
Yep.
Run to the podium situation.
And it's Ravens. And it's the Ravens. And John, it's not the Ravens, it's John Harbaugh.
Yes.
He's going to love a guy like that.
Wow.
And he's either going to take an edge or he's going to take your Ohio State guy. One or the other.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where this goes with the wide receivers. Chris, where is the first place if you're the Steelers and you want one of these guys? Particularly, I think Lemon is probably the name I'm focusing in on. What's the earliest that you would move up to get him? Because I think we talked about this during the week and the couple weeks leading up. You've looked at number 10 as kind of the sweet spot of where action could begin. Does Carnell Tate going number 4 influence you? Or are you going to be willing to stand pat, lose Makai Lemon, because you don't want to put that kind of a premium to trade up that far if you have to trade into the top 10 to do it?
I just think if you trade into the top 10, you're going to be in a position where you're giving up that 2nd round pick, and I don't think they want to give up a 2nd round pick. I think they would give multiple 3rds, but not that 2nd. And so if they're trying to hold to that, you wait, you stand true in what you believe. You wait to see who comes out of the top 10. To me, 11 is where that trade up piece starts. I wrote a whole piece about this for the Post-Gazette just this week, just today, in fact, that came out. And I looked up the history of trading up to either 11, 12, or 13. And the reason I did those 3 is because the Ravens pick at 14, and they need either a receiver or a guard, which are the 2 needs I have for the Steelers here in this first round. To me, that's the big deal here that the Steelers need to be interested about. But If you trade up for 11, you're probably giving up at least 2/3. Trade for 12 and 13, you might be able to do some pick swapping in other rounds, but give up at least 1/3. So that's what's going to be interesting to me.
Here you go, picks in. Do we have it?
Are we having some issues with spoilers tonight? Because usually they're like 2 or 3 picks ahead of time on Twitter. So it seems like we're pretty close to live here.
Yeah.
No, we got some crazy stuff here. The Browns have traded the number 6 pick to the Chiefs. So we haven't gotten out the number 5 pick, but we now know the Chiefs are moving to number 6 from the 9th overall pick. There was a lot of thought that the Browns would trade out of 6 because they want either a tackle or a receiver, and if they want to get one of these top receivers, they want to pick it later. So
what do you think? Does it say what they got in return for that?
Not yet. This literally happened a minute ago.
All right, without looking though, the Giants pick is in. Is it Reese? Is it the tackle from Miami? I mean,
we're still waiting to see.
Here's the dark horse. How about the corner from LSU? It is John Harbaugh, for goodness sake.
Mansour Delane would be really interesting there. I think. Oh wait. Arvell Reese to the Giants.
Okay,
we got that one.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so Arvell Reese is off the board.
That probably wasn't really all that. That was kind of anticlimactic. We kind of knew John Harbaugh was going to grab the best defensive player that he could get.
Yeah, it cracks me up that it feels like the time spread, because there's been a lot of discourse about this, Chris, of people being angry that sometimes Twitter spoils the picks so far ahead of time. It takes the drama and the intrigue out of watching the event on network television. Do you have an opinion on that? For us, it's much better to get the picks in as quickly as possible.
I'm all about get me the information. Yeah. Like if you don't want, listen, if you don't want to hear it, just watch on TV, put your phone down, and just enjoy the draft. You can do it. But if you want to hear it, people are tipping it. Hey, some years I'm the one tipping the Steelers pick. This year, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But it depends on who gets the information. Me, I love to get it faster because, especially as a reporter, I want to get the information out and my reactions to our viewers and fans. Shout out to the how many we got there right now on this live stream? Over 1,000.
Over 1,000 people already. Off to a great start. We're glad you're all joining us here. I guess we can reset a little bit for those of you who've just joined us, because a lot of people have joined since the top.
Wow.
We are at, go ahead, Chris.
We have the price for the Browns trade. The Chiefs gave them the 9th overall pick, so they moved back 3 spots in the top 10. The 74th pick, so that's a 3rd round pick, and 141, which I believe is a 5th round pick. So the Browns get a 3rd and a 5th to move back 3 spots in the top 10. I think the Chiefs kind of got over on that. Normally, top 10 trades involve a lot more than just that.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think the Chiefs must really have somebody. Maybe the Chiefs, haven't they had some injuries along their offensive line?
Wow. A name that you just brought up. The Chiefs have selected Mansour Delane, the LSU cornerback. I had them taking him at 9th overall. I thought they could have waited, but clearly they probably heard something that said, nah, these other teams want him. Mansour Delane off the board, 6th overall to the Chiefs. Wow. That is a wow. We are wheeling and dealing here, boys.
I thought they were going to take the tackle from Miami.
Yeah,
because didn't their guy get hurt last year?
Their guy got hurt.
Yes.
But when they traded away Trent McDuffie, I thought the Chiefs would want a corner to replace him. And Mansour Delane is the number 1 corner in this draft. It might have been Jermod McCoy, but unfortunately, Jermod McCoy suffered a really bad injury, and it seems to continue to linger. So he's been moving down people's boards. Mansour Delane first off the board. I think that's a good move for the Steelers, because I think they'd be fine if corners started to fly off a little bit.
Let's reset for people a little bit here if you're just joining us. We are at Aslin Beer Company in the Strip District. I was about to say on the North Shore. That's where the draft is happening. My brain is already broken. Chris, we're at Aslin Beer Company in the Strip District, right on the terminal. If you're at home and you're looking for something to do this evening, the parking, in my understanding, is it's still wide open out there.
It is.
A lot of people have been focused on those lots for the NFL draft, those designated lots for people to park in. Seems like a lot of people have been listening to the advice to take public transit, so we'd love to have you down here. We've got ourselves a speaker so you can hear us this year, giving our analysis here on the NFL draft. We are on the PG Steelers YouTube channel, the PG Facebook page, and Chris and Paul's Twitter account. So make sure you check us out if you're just looking to settle in for the evening. Really appreciate the folks at Aslin Beer, though. Great stuff down here, Chris. All days of the week, they've got chest Cheers and Chess on Tuesday. They've got trivia on Thursdays if you're a Magic the Gathering fan. They've got, I believe, Wednesday for that. We've also got giveaways here that we're doing with folks. So make sure you check in with Logan. He's got the QR code. So he's got some giveaways. Logan's going to have to tell me what we're giving away. I think it's posters, right, of the Super Bowl champions. Yeah.
Posters and plates? There we go.
If you want to have the front page of the Post-Gazette from the Super Bowl championships, you possibly can get hooked up with one here. So
you got to come down here first, though, and then you got to do the QR code, and then you got to sign up. So come down to Aslin Beer Company, I think is.
Yes.
That's the official name of this place.
They've got pinball in the back too.
They got pinball.
They got pinball. They got golden tea. They got lots of games here. There's a lot here. Great beer, great food, great everything.
Where are my golden tea heads at? The guys love them sometimes at some of those restaurants. I'm thinking about one near me. A lot of those guys, you can find them there at all hours of the day. So yeah, lots of good stuff happening here. We're gonna maybe take a quick break here. We're gonna see if we can effort Brian Batko. He is at Steelers headquarters, and we're going to try to get him on the live stream. So we're going to take a quick break here, check in with Brian, and see if we can get him in here soon. We'll be right back.
Oh, you need to stand up.
Yo.
Canton,
Am I coming
Ohio,
through the
birthplace
speaker?
of the NFL, welcomes visitors from all over the world to share in the history, culture, and love of the game. In our internationally acclaimed Pro Football Hall of Fame, fans explore thousands of square feet of all things football. Or visit Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium,
I think
an
you might be
unparalleled
hearing
event
this through his
space
mic.
where our
Like, I
annual
don't think, I'm not sure if my
honors
mic
the
is on.
best to step foot on the gridiron. We never stop
clear on the
leveling up the
broadcast?
experience for football enthusiasts, which is why we're building a state-of-the-art Hall of Fame village, including a football-themed indoor water park. When you're filled up on football and you're hungry for more, discover delicious food and drinks around town. Sample a bit of it all on our walking food tours. And along the way, experience the greatest moments in NFL history come to life as public works of art. As the sun goes down, Canton.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Dip a drink fireside.
I can't hear myself in the mic, but you in the headphones.
Or
but
catch a show at the Canton Palace.
You can hear me loud and clear.
Gain some yards and great memories when you visit Canton, Ohio, a Hall of Fame city.
Bring on the fun and bring home what you want. Road trips won't wait. So bring on the thrills with a Honda Hybrid. Hit the road. High-tech features.
Thank you.
Built in.
I think that's the problem.
Efficiency of Honda Hybrid. All from the 2025 Kelly's Leawood Best Performance brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your
Styles to the Commanders.
You don't. I'll just. You don't have to. If you,
Thank you.
10 or 15.
Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of the NFL, welcomes visitors from all over the world to share in the history, culture, and love of the game. In our internationally acclaimed Pro Football Hall of Fame, fans explore thousands of square feet of all things football. Or visit Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, an unparalleled event space where our annual Enshrinement Week honors the best to step foot on the gridiron.
The ad's playing,
We
and then
never stop leveling up
finish.
the experience for
I'm gonna let
football
this ad
enthusiasts,
finish,
which is why we're building a state-of-the-art Hall of Fame village, including a football-themed indoor water park. When you're filled up on football and you're hungry for more, discover delicious food and drinks around town. Sample a bit of it all on our walking food tours. And along the way, experience the greatest moments in NFL history come to life as public works of art. As the sun goes down, Canton's nightlife heats up. Sip a drink fireside with live music in Centennial Plaza. Or catch a show at the Canton Palace Theater. Gain some yards and great memories when you visit Canton, Ohio, a Hall of Fame city.
Bring on the fun and bring home a new Honda. Road trips won't wait, neither should you. So bring on the thrills with a Honda Hybrid. Hit the road with high-tech features like available Google built-in and the efficiency of a Honda Hybrid. All from the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Performance brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
We're back on the Steelers NFL Draft live stream. Adam Bittner, Christopher Carter's alongside. I believe we said Jordyn Tyson's going at 8, so we're going to have a lot to digest with our next guest, who's Brian Batko. I'm going to add him to the stage now. Brian joining us from the South Side. Brian, how are you?
Hey guys, I can't hear you. We're gonna have to troubleshoot the audio in my headphones. Let's see. All right.
I can't hear Brian in my ear.
You got me now, guys?
Uh-oh.
No? Okay.
We're going through some technical difficulties. It happens at times.
We'll talk through it here for a second while we try to pick good, thank you.
What is happening? I don't know. All right, sound is off now. We may just need
and we had a lot of echoes in our ears. We're going to let our folks work on that on the sidelines here. Get Chris's thoughts on things that are unfolding in the NFL draft. We're up to what? Pick number 8, 9 on the board here.
Yeah. So we've had a few things develop that's happened in the last few minutes. So we know about the Chiefs trading up to the 6th overall pick. And they took Mansour Delane. Sonny Styles, linebacker, going to the Commanders at 7. I had them going wide receiver. So guess who does go wide receiver? It's Jordyn Tyson to the Saints. So now that's 2 wide receivers off. And just now we saw the number 9 pick, Spencer Fano, going to the Browns at 9. That is now, he's the top offensive tackle off the board, not Francis Maui-Noah. So now we are seeing things spin quite a bit, and we get to the 10th overall pick where the Giants get to pick again. I am very curious where they go here right now because both Maui-Noah is still on the board, and now Ruben Bain is still on the board.
Let's talk about the Steelers' implications here, Chris. Principally, I guess, with Jordyn Tyson, because that's now 2 receivers off the board. He moved up. I think I saw him in your final mock draft. You had him at 10.
Yeah.
So he moves up a spot. Carnell Tate moved up, 3 spots from your draft? So the receivers are going earlier than we projected. Makai Lemon's got to be the next best receiver available on your list, and so we're only at 10. So it seems like the Steelers are going to have to get aggressive if that's the guy who they want.
Yeah, that's the thing. And this is what I was worried about and why I thought they're going to need to trade up to at least 11, 12, or 13 to get their wide receiver of choice. Because now also, with offensive line going the way it is right now, Spencer Fano just got picked. I'll be curious to know where Maui-Noah get picked. I'd be a little worried that Vega Ioane is going to come off the board very, very soon. And if that happens to him, it's going to change, I think, a lot of things for a lot of these teams in the mid-teens, including the Baltimore Ravens, who, again, I think if there's a team the Steelers have to get above if they want to get one of these elite prospects, it's the Ravens at 14th overall.
Spencer Fano is also an interesting name, Chris. He was a visitor to the Steelers facility in the lead-up. So he was someone that they looked at more closely. I mean, we don't really know what to make of visitors to the team facility in this Mike McCarthy era, whether they're going to be like they were in the Mike Tomlin era of consistently those are the guys that they end up choosing, are the guys that they bring in for visits, unless they send a big contingent to a pro day. Sometimes they'll fake you out that way, but it was a very consistent theme of the Mike Tomlin era. We don't necessarily know if that's how it's going to go with Mike McCarthy, but they did bring Spencer Fano in. They did not bring a lot of these other big-name tackle prospects in. I think the intrigue with him, Chris, was there's a belief that he's one of those guys who could kick inside.
Yes.
Right? And that would be appealing to the Steelers because he could be an insurance policy on Broderick Jones while not necessarily being anything other than that, right? So he could kick inside. He could be the guard of the future if things work out with Broderick Jones, but he could also be a tackle of the future if he's not. I think it's very interesting that he went off the board because he was someone who could have checked 2 boxes for the Steelers tonight, and now he's not going to be available. He's going to a division rival.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting. The Browns traded back to get him, so I think that and what's interesting is the Browns could have gone with Maui-Noah at 6. They could have picked Fano, but they said, hey, we're going to trust that he's going to fall back. So that's really interesting to see that that's who they stuck with there. It also looks like the Giants are going to stick with their 10th overall pick and pick there. We don't have their pick just yet. We're waiting to hear who that is. But really interesting to see Spencer Fano off the board already. With Sonny Styles gone, my top player on the board right now is Caleb Downs. But listen, if Caleb Downs doesn't go here at 10 to the Giants, of the 11 range, that's when I said the Steelers should be open trading up for him, because that's when I think the range for the Steelers trade up begins.
We got Paul Zeise back in here. Paul, any reactions to Jordyn Tyson, Spencer Fano going off the board here in the last couple of picks?
Well, no. I mean, I think the thing about Jordyn Tyson is we talked about it, Chris, right? That run of receivers.
Yeah,
that could happen. It's interesting to go from 6 to 9. I don't think the Chiefs paid a huge price, but
they didn't.
I think going from 21 to 10 or 11, or 12 now, if the Steelers want to try and get one of these receivers before a couple more of them come off the board, I don't know. To me, it feels like that is probably close to what they would pay, right, Chris? Similar, maybe a third and a fifth, or a third and a sixth, or something to move up 10 spots.
I mean, 10 spots. It depends on what the team is wanting. I think that it's going to involve at least a day 2 swap, like a swap of like giving up an upgrade in the round 2, and then giving up the third. But I mean, hey, everything is different every year. Like we've seen times, like when I went back and I studied draft trades for year by year. There's some years where moving up 10 spots means you got to cough up an extra first, but oftentimes that involves a quarterback. That's what the Bears gave up to trade up to get Justin Fields when they did. I think it was back in 2021 when that happened. But when you look at, say, when the Steelers traded up for Devin Bush, they gave up a second and a third. They didn't give up an extra first-round pick. So it just depends on the year, and it's kind of wild how crazy things how different things can go year to year.
They're announcing the Saints pick now on the broadcast. So we are. Maybe I was getting a false alarm where I was like, "Hey, no spoilers." I think we are well in spoiler territory at this point.
Yeah. Well, my point with that is we were just saying that, but now we're 2 or 3 picks ahead now.
Yeah.
Right? At least 2 or 3 picks ahead, and that's okay. But I think what's interesting again now is, Chris, is there going to be a team that trades up and trades in to try and get into the territory where they can get one of the top receivers, as now 2 of them are off the board?
I think that's going to be, and the Steelers have to decide, are they in that trade market? Because I think something is going to happen very, very soon. And if they want to be in the mix for it, they've got to see. But it depends on what's the market, because when there's a higher market for it, that's when it becomes, the competition rises up. That's when the price drives up, and we see things happening there. We also, looks like Francis Maui-Noah is going 10th overall to the Giants. So there's the big offensive tackle out of Miami.
And Caleb Downs now falling out of the top 10.
Yep, which is I thought could happen.
Right.
Yeah, but
to your point, the Steelers to go up 10 spots or 9 spots to get them. Again, we just talked about what the price might be. They've got some extra picks if they wanted to try and do it. Do you think, is he the kind of player they would make a move like that to go get?
I think Caleb Downs is a potential elite safety in the NFL. He's a true chess player, a chess piece in the secondary. You can put him in the slot. You can have him a dime back. You can have him as a deep safety, a post safety, strong safety. He can play all those different roles and at an elite level. If Caleb Downs is a target for the Steelers, they should trade up and go get him soon, because I think he would be an excellent piece. The comparison that I've been making, I'm not saying he's this style of a player, because he's very different than this player, but the timing of it, I think, will be interesting. I think that it could be similar to Polamalu when he was picked in 2003. The Steelers picked him, and then the next year they got Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not saying Caleb Downs is Troy Polamalu, but I am saying I think he can be an elite safety, and then they can get their elite quarterback next year in that draft class, and there'd be a lot of parallels looking at it there.
One of these guys is going to be a Hall of Fame safety, though, Chris. One of these days, right? We always say we can't compare him to Troy Polamalu. Listen, one of them's going to be a Hall of Fame. So definitely something I'm watching out for if the Steelers move up for him. Chris, tell me more about who you think is the best available and also intriguing from a Steelers perspective, maybe we haven't touched on to this point.
Right now, best available, Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. Next up, the edge rusher out of Miami. Personally, he's my favorite edge rusher in this draft class. I was just talking to my man, Tone Wig. He does the Locked On Jaguars podcast. We do the Locked On NFL podcast together every week. And when we do that show together, he was talking to me. He said Ruben Bain reminds him of a bigger James Harrison, 6'2", and he just mauls over people. He just destroys people on the edge. I thought he should have been the first edge off the board. I know David Bailey was everyone's favorite, but everyone says Ruben Bain. He has short arms. He's not long enough to play edge. But I like Ruben Bain there. Then I have Makai Lemon at my 10th over, so he's my third ranked player still available. Then you get Vega Ioane. Then you get Monroe Freeling, the Georgia offensive tackle. So honestly, this is why I thought the Steelers would be in a trade-up territory, because if they want to get one of these elite prospects, they have to start moving very, very soon. Otherwise, you could still get really good players. You can get Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston, one of these guys that are premium prospects later, but if the Steelers' goal was to get an elite guy, they need to make moves and make moves now.
I want to talk about my favorite Monroe Freeling anecdote from this draft season, Paul, where I started getting dropped to the Steelers in a lot of these mock drafts. I think I saw him in a couple even today. And when you go to Lance Zierlein on NFL.com, he's kind of their top scout. He does a pro comp for every player that's in the draft, so you can kind of get a feel for, okay, well, this is the type of player our team may or may not be getting. His top comp for Monroe Freeling was Broderick Jones.
Oh boy, that's
so
not good.
So I said, imagine if the Steelers draft Monroe Freeling and the top comp is Broderick Jones. It's like you've replaced Broderick Jones with Broderick Jones.
That might bring the largest boo since the commissioner was announced earlier in the show, right? I mean, people probably would not like that pick. I think that one of the things about it is, to Chris's point, there are still 4 or 5 of these elite guys out there. The Steelers need to think about moving up if they really want to get one of those top elite guys that changes your roster.
Let's talk about Spencer Fano a little bit more from he's going to be joining the AFC North perspective. So the Steelers are going to be seeing him quite a bit, presumably, if he's able to make things stick with the Browns. What type of player are the Browns getting, Chris? And is he a guy that, if you're the Steelers and you're looking with that pass rush and getting after those Cleveland quarterbacks, is he going to be a tough customer to deal with? Spencer Fano, thank you. Spencer Fano, yeah, sorry. We're a lot going on here.
We're juggling a lot of things. I think Spencer Fano is going to be a really good offensive lineman. I had him, honestly, I feel like the Browns are really leaping for him here. I had him as my 20th best prospect. I don't see it with Spencer Fano being 9th overall. But hey, maybe they see he's an elite tackle. He's going to help Shedeur Sanders. He's a really great athlete. I will say that. Like when I looked at his tape, I was like, okay, this guy can get it done. He can move around. He's a good pass protector. He's certainly a first round talent. I just thought you could have waited a bit longer. Honestly, I thought that they could have gotten a really good tackle at 24, where they naturally were going to pick it later in the first round. But hey, they really think he's going to be there. The Browns do need to rebuild their offensive line. I thought they'd go tackle at 6 with Maui Noah. They trade back and they go Fano at 9. So certainly I got the position right with what the Browns wanted. Just the different player.
Were you surprised that he was picked over the kid from Miami?
I am. I just think Maui Noah, when I looked at his tape and compared him to Fano, I just thought he's a more natural, complete tackle at that position. I think Fano, there's a lot of people that speculated Fano could be a guard because of his size and the way that he plays. So, and that's not a knock on him. I think he's a really good prospect. But I just thought, Maui Noah, better fit. But hey, it depends on what you as a GM see. And, Browns, I guess their GM doesn't have the best reputation, but certainly they're making moves right now, and we'll see how that pans out for them.
Chris, another guy on the ESPN Best Available who we've spent some time talking about. I believe he's now number 4 on theirs. I'm not sure where he falls on yours. Kenyon Sadiq of Oregon, the tight end. He is dropping down the board, but because he's so highly rated, is he a guy that you consider for the Steelers if he continues to drop toward 21?
No, I'm not looking at any tight ends at 21 overall. I'm sorry.
Sometimes I just got to wind him up, folks. I know the answer.
Yeah, he knows. We've had this conversation a million times.
If Arthur Smith was still the guy calling plays, maybe.
The Cowboys have traded into the 11th overall pick. We're still waiting to hear who they're getting. The Dolphins had the 11th overall pick. The Cowboys picked at 12. So basically, they swapped picks. I probably didn't give up a ton to do that, but I think the Cowboys, this could be them going after Caleb Downs. This is where you finally see Caleb Downs. I had Caleb Downs going 11 to the Dolphins, Caleb Downs going 11 to the Cowboys. Makes a lot of sense. They need to revamp that defense, and Caleb Downs is my 5th best player on the draft board.
Another name on this list, Chris, I think worth talking about from that potential to play inside and outside. I've seen widely different opinions about whether he could do it, but Caden Proctor, the big guy from Alabama, well over 350, real tall, real big. And listen, he potentially had some weight issues during his college career.
Yeah,
but
he did.
He's now a projected first rounder. Is he a guy you're keeping an eye on as an outside possibility?
Not for the Steelers. I'm sorry. I can't buy in on this offensive tackle talk for the Steelers. I think receiver, guard, elite DB. I think that is where you're going to see the move here. I could be completely wrong. I think Spencer Fano was a special case for them. You're seeing him we're seeing Francis Mauigoa now with the Giants up here. The pick is in for the Cowboys. They are going to get Caleb Downs. So Caleb Downs comes off the board. That's a big name off the board for the Steelers. But he's right where I thought he would be. In my mock drafts, I had him going 11 to the Dolphins. The Cowboys said we want him more. Probably gave up a day 2 or day 3 pick in that trade up. So I'll be curious to see.
It'll be interesting to see what the return was for that. To move up one spot to see what that does. I mean, because again, I think one of the things that we've talked about for a long time is the Steelers have some excess picks.
Yes.
That they could actually, make a move. And it seems to me, based on the 2 trades that we've seen, what do we have here? Based on the 2 trades that we've seen, it seems like the price is not quite as high as you think.
Yeah, it hasn't been high yet, but these also have been small trades, 9 to 6, 12 to 11. That's where it could get tricky to determine the value. But again, it depends on the market because it also could have been that not a lot of teams were trying to trade up for that position, and they didn't have to compete with too many teams. So they said, "Hey, we're offering you this. Is anyone else offering you this? Cool. Then if you don't want that player, we'll take them off your hands and give you this extra value."
Chris, you were poking me. Was there something I should?
I was just trying to show you. I developed these profiles.
Yeah, we'll get those up.
That was really nice.
In case,
Dylan Thieneman is another guy we've talked a lot about. Now that Caleb Downs is off the board, he's going to be the safety everyone's looking at. He's the next safety available. But he is, lower on the board than Caleb Downs, I think, for obvious reason. Caleb Downs was a game changer at a very high level.
Yeah.
Dylan Thieneman's someone who's moved upwards. He's been a riser through this process. I like the package that he brings. I still prefer Emmanuel McNeil-Warren if we're looking at the safety conversation.
Interesting.
I like the size.
Size is there.
That's not to say I don't think Dylan Thieneman can't have a great career, can't be that chess piece that we were just talking about. But how many times do we sit in these NFL draft conversations and talk about the measurables, talk about the size? I just think he would be a unique player that the Steelers could find different ways to use if they went in that direction. Which one do you guys prefer between those 2 guys? I think you prefer Dylan.
Yeah, I'm a big Dylan Thieneman guy, especially when we saw him run like a 4.35 40-yard dash. That is a guy who can fly all over the field. I like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, but he runs in the 4.5s. If the Steelers needed a box safety, I'd be all for it, but they've got Deshaun Elliott. Heck, Jalen Ramsey can play that role. I also think Jaquan Brisker can play that role, but I don't think they have an elite athlete in the safety room right now. A guy who can run as fast as any fast wide receiver, who can play deep center field, run to the left sideline, run to the right sideline, and take away the field in covering. That's who Dylan Thieneman is out of Oregon. I really like his game. He'd be a guy I'd consider even trading up, but not in this range right now. If he gets to like 15, 16, 17, that's when I'd consider moving up for him.
Moving up for a safety? Really?
If this kind of a safety, he's very versatile, he's fast, he could be a game changer in my opinion.
I can agree with that. But I think if they're going to move up, there's other positions they need to move up for.
I would prefer to move up for a prime guard or a prime receiver.
And looking at this best available, and of course this is some compilation of opinion. I mean, what are we on, pick 11 now or 12? What the Cowboys, we know they picked, so we're on 12 now, right?
Yes, we're on 12 right now.
Okay, so according to this, Vega Ioane would be in the 18 range based on best available here. So if he gets to like 15, 16, they almost have to pull the trigger, don't they?
I just think that the Ravens would really want Ioane if he falls far enough. I could be wrong.
Right, but I'm saying they're 14 or something, or 15, I think the Ravens are.
Yeah, they're 14.
14. So if he gets past the Ravens...
If he gets past the Ravens, all bets are off. I'm trying to get him because I think Ioane is that good.
But you might be able to trade up to 13 and take them from the Ravens.
I agreed, and that's why I've been saying 13 is the trade-up spot for the Steelers. They get ahead of the Ravens. You can either get Makai Lemon or Ioane. One of those two guys would be an elite either one of those two guys is an elite prospect, and you would steal them away from the Ravens because I think the Ravens would love either one of them.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I'll give you another name for the Steelers. Would you like them to get Jamon McCoy, the corner from Tennessee?
I'm a little scared about his injury history.
How about Terrell from Clemson?
I am one of the biggest downers of Avion Terrell.
Okay.
I don't like his tape as much.
So basically, you're saying you don't want to see the Steelers take a first-round corner.
Colton Hood would change my mind. I love Colton Hood. I know some people are down on him. I think he's a great man zone option. I think he would fit a lot of what they would want to do. You put Colton Hood with Jamel Dean and Joey Porter Jr., that would be a no-fly zone secondary.
Last question on Vega Ioane that I think is interesting is if he falls past 14, so if he gets past the Ravens, we think he probably won't, but let's just say for the sake of conversation, he does. Is there anyone between 14 and 21 that you would then look at, Chris, as the guy or as the team that may want to select him? Or could the Steelers possibly afford to wait for the board to come to them at 21 if that's the player they want to go with?
Let me look at all the teams where they stand. Okay, so after you get the Bucks could take him, the Lions could take him. I think the Panthers could take him. Yeah, there's at least 3 teams there. I think they need to trade up for Ioane. I don't think he falls to 21. I could be wrong, but again, this was the gamble that got them David DeCastro way back in 2012. They thought there was no way initially when they started the draft that he would fall, but they watched the board and they said, hey, we'll do that.
I was going to say the compensation for that trade, the Cowboys moved up to 11.
Yeah.
Dolphins down to 12. They got number 177 and number 180.
2 fifth-round picks.
Basically 2 fifth-round picks.
Wow.
To move up one spot.
Wow.
I mean, and one has to figure those 2 fifth-round picks, maybe the Dolphins use them to, to trade up a little bit in like the second round or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's the price we're talking about. I mean, if the Steelers are going to move up, I can't imagine it's going to be that expensive for them at this point.
It's looking that way right now. I'll be honest. Again, these are smaller trades. These are shorter trades, but I do think that you're right that like the prices have not been too hefty.
And 7 spot. I mean, if we're talking the difference between 14 and 21, that's 7 spots. The Steelers might be moving 3. You mentioned all those teams, and they have to find a dance partner, Chris. And sometimes that's the harder part. Is we can talk about, wouldn't it be great if you traded up 4 spots or 3 spots? Sometimes you just don't have a team that wants to trade to you in that spot. They want to use it for themselves because there's a guy that they're looking at. They just don't want you to have the player that you want to have. Sometimes if a division opponent is involved, I think we saw that with the Bengals a handful of years back where they didn't want the Steelers to get a guy, so they took the guy. So it's all predicated on whether you can find a dance partner and whether they're willing to accept your price. And that's why, some teams will accept a lesser price, but the team that you want to trade with may not. And I think that's what will make it interesting, certainly for the rest of day 1 and especially tomorrow as we get into day 2, when I think we've talked about, Chris, that the Steelers might be able to move around a little bit more because they have so many of those picks. And teams are going to want to move around for their guys. And there's a little bit more maneuverability compared to the first round.
Yeah.
Do we know the Dolphins pick yet?
Dolphins, no. We're still waiting for that.
Okay.
It says the pick is in, but I'm waiting for us to get an update here.
Paul, what are your thoughts on trading up today versus tomorrow? Would you rather see them come out with like 5 or 6 top 100 prospects, or would you rather them get their guy tonight? What's more important to you?
Oh, that's a great question. So if you mean like tomorrow they traded up, like to get
get another second rounder, or maybe they're able to trade up and get another third, and you got 4 third-round picks. That's
you know what? I mean, I think there's a lot of quality players in this draft. So if you have another pick in the top 99, it wouldn't hurt. But I really believe that if you have a chance to get one of those game-changing elite guys, and I still think there's 2 or 3 of them on the board, you know what? you have to go for it. I think one of the things the Steelers have not had enough of, despite what some people think, they just haven't had enough playmakers. And I think if you have a game changer that can, really be that guy and add it to what you have, you almost have to go do that.
Speaking of big play players, Omar Cooper Jr. is a name that we probably should have said on the stream before this point, Chris.
Yeah.
So I do want to discuss him a little bit. Is he potentially going to be in that sweet spot of available to the Steelers at 21 that checks the boxes that you want to see if they don't make a move and they're not moving up for one of these guys? Because it looks to me like he's going to be available to them. And he's a player we've talked a lot about as having inside and outside ability. That's important to the Steelers, particularly because of what we saw late last season when DK Metcalf was out of the lineup because of his suspension. You're going from him at around 6'4" to Calvin Austin, suddenly your number one guy in that division-clinching game. He makes his defensive back slip in that game against the Ravens and catches the game-winning touchdown pass. It ends up working out. But as a practical matter, you would rather not have that range in height. And obviously that has been alleviated somewhat with the trade and signing of Michael Pittman Jr. But I think, especially as you're projecting into the future, DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman are both 28 years old. You want a guy who's going to be a number one potentially in the future. Caden Proctor goes off the board at number 12 to the Dolphins.
That was kept very tight to the chest. I did not see a single insider break that one. Like that, literally, like the first tweet that I just saw now from all the major insiders that normally break NFL draft news, tweeted it as it went live on television. Somehow the Dolphins, they kept that tight to the vest. But Caden Proctor going this early, I liked him as a player, but I thought he'd be a mid-20s player there. But certainly great for him. He's a big guy, but you brought this up earlier. There's questions about him being able to keep his weight, his discipline off the field, not necessarily as a person. He's not a bad person. He's not in trouble with the law. But there's a lot of rumors that like he lets himself go a little bit when he's not in the facility. But when he's in the facility, hard worker, leader, tough playmaker. The Dolphins getting one of the bigger, 6'6", 352, and knows how to move with that frame. Really interesting athlete for the Dolphins to get at O-tackle.
Was Omar Cooper the guy that caught the touchdown against Penn State?
Yes, in the back of the end zone with the ridiculous footwork.
Can you believe?
No way.
Hold up.
No way.
Something.
Big news. The Rams pick is already in. They have taken Ty Simpson.
Oh, wow.
Ty Simpson is off the board at 13th overall. This blows up everything that we've been talking about.
He was a name that we were talking about potentially falling out of the first round entirely going into tonight. Sometimes people just want their quarterback, but they have their quarterback, right? Matthew Stafford. They're looking to the future.
Wow.
I know that Sean McVay is the guy and the young guru and all that other stuff. Chris, do you agree with me that Ty Simpson is not a first round talent?
No, I thought originally, before the Rams traded away the 29th pick to get Trent McDuffie, I thought that's where they would take it. I thought back it into the first round, okay, that makes sense because then you've used your 13th overall pick on a playmaker. But clearly, they believe that Ty Simpson is the guy.
This to me means there's no chance the Steelers take a quarterback in the first 3 rounds.
Well, because it's going to drive. Listen, if the outside view, right, was that this was not a great quarterback class, Ty Simpson was not viewed as certainly a top 15 guy.
I still don't think it is. I think this is a very, very hard push from the Rams. And also,
right, but my point is now someone's going to reach for Alar and someone's going to reach for Carson Beck.
Right, it pushes them all up the board regardless of what you think of them.
Right.
Unless, listen, the Steelers took Kenny Pickett. It has widely been panned, in the years since. As the Steelers took him too early. They could have waited longer to get him, and that pick did not work out because maybe he was overdrafted. And there were no other quarterbacks that came off the board until the 3rd round in the draft where the Steelers got Kenny Pickett. We've been comparing this draft to that draft a lot, not just tonight, but in the entire lead-up. So there's a potential here that maybe Ty Simpson's just going to be an outlier pick of a guy we expected to go later who goes earlier, and maybe the rest of the quarterback class is valued. But we also know that sometimes it forces them up the board. How do you think that's going to unfold, Paul?
I think that people are going to reach for a couple of quarterbacks they shouldn't reach for. I think if you need a quarterback and you want it in the second round, you were thinking you maybe might have a shot to get a guy in the third round. Now you're starting to get nervous because there's already 2 off the board, and there really is only about 5, that are considered maybe legitimate NFL starters at some point. Simpson, Mendoza, Nussmeier, Alar, and Beck. Basically, are the 5 So now you got to scramble if you want one of those guys. Here's the thing: this is now now that we know who the Rams are taking, Chris. Now this next pick is really big for the Steelers because it's the Ravens.
It's the Ravens.
And if they take our guy Vega from Penn State, it changes probably a lot about what the Steelers are going to do.
Well, but here's the other thing. It might not. I think the Steelers, they could be targeting Makai Lemon. I have him as a better player than Vega. I think here's what the Steelers might do. They might say, okay, Ravens, pick one or the other. Pick Vega or Lemon because we're getting the other one at 15. The 15 is the other spot here because I will say this. The Jets, they look like they've wanted a wide receiver. I think that they would try to get Makai Lemon. The Buccaneers have been a team that has been rumored to want to trade down to get some more picks. 15 might be the move if they get here now. But yeah, if you're sitting here, the Steelers, the Ravens aren't going to trade you the 14th pick because you're division rival. They're not doing that.
Right.
So now you just wait and see what happens here.
I want to keep pulling at that Makai Lemon thread because he is a guy we know they spoke. It was effusive praise in the press conference the other day, Chris, with Mike McCarthy and Omar Khan. They got into it, and they didn't have to say the nice things they said about him, but they praised him significantly, and he kind of stood out from the crowd in that way. You were there. What were your thoughts on what you heard from those guys?
I mean, they love Makai Lemon. They loved him. And that's the thing. When I first started studying this guy, I thought he was the playmaker wide receiver. I thought he was the separator, the elite, spectacular catch guy. I thought that he could make plays with the ball in his hands. To me, he was my favorite fit of a wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you go back to my very first mock draft, might have been late January, early February, whenever it was, my first pick was them trading up to go get Makai Lemon. That I thought was always going to be the big plan here. Now, you don't have to trade up as high for him right now unless the Ravens take him here at 14th overall.
Well, and that's the thing to me. I mean, I think we know who the Ravens are going to take, right? I mean,
it should be Ioane.
It seems like they've been really angling for the guard, but what if they throw, a monkey wrench into it and go with a receiver, and then there's another team that needs a receiver that thinks like you, Chris, and says, well, there's been a run on receivers. They move up and they trade up and try and get a receiver. I mean, this pick to me with the Ravens is going to tell us a lot about what the Steelers are going to do.
Yep, I think so. I think if they go with Ioane, they go Lemon, and they might try to trade up. If they go Lemon, maybe they wait and see. I also think the Buccaneers might want to go Ioane at this point, though. So this could get really tricky right here based off of how things go.
It feels like things are bogging down as well, Chris. I'm wondering if that might have something to do with I'm wondering if that might have something to do with trades maybe being worked out and some of these teams waiting till very late in the clock. So we know the picks have gone down from 15 minutes to 10. Maybe they know the player they want to pick at that spot, but they're willing to wait and see if they can get a nice value.
The pick from the Ravens is in, and it is Vega Ioane, the guard from Penn State.
That's one of the worst kept secrets that's
everybody has been mocking. Like of all the mock drafts, you should have just gotten that one. That and Fernando Mendoza.
I didn't even do a mock draft, and I had them taking them.
Spectacular. But to me,
go get the receiver now. Go get Lemon.
Trade up right now and get Lemon right now.
Absolutely.
Who's the dance partner you're looking at? Is it Tampa Bay, Chris?
It's Tampa Bay.
Is it Tampa Bay
get ahead of the
between
Jets
here and 21?
Get ahead of the Jets right now. I think that it's silly that Makai Lemon has fallen this far. Get ahead of him get ahead of the Jets because I think they would take him. I could be wrong. I thought the Jets would go with Arvell Reese earlier. But, man, 15 would be great value. And now you're probably not giving up a mint to move up. There's only 6 picks you're moving up. Maybe you give up a third. Maybe you give up a fourth, a pick swap a little bit. But I think this is a really good spot for the Steelers to make this trade up at 15.
and the thing about Lemon that I found intriguing is a lot of comparisons to Amon-Ra St. Brown, another USC wide receiver who has kind of become the guy. I mean, Jamison Williams is in Detroit, and he's very good as well. But I don't know. I've had Amon-Ra St. Brown on my fantasy football team, and I know he's getting a lot of targets the last couple of years.
He's really good.
He's very good, and he's a guy who I think has the skill to kind of transcend. Is he a slot receiver? Is he an outside receiver? He's just a really good receiver, Paul. I think you could use him in a lot of different ways, as Detroit has with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Not saying they're going to be the same player. It's not going to be probably a 1-for-1, but he's a very good player who you could probably use as a very versatile piece.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like, you've got two receivers to be your staple guys that, you know what I mean? You add a third guy that's got that versatile skill set that you can use him in a lot of different ways. I mean, now you can play matchup against other teams and really create headaches. And I think that's one thing, kneecap, what's the guy that bites kneecaps? I mean,
Dan Campbell.
I will say they do a pretty good job of utilizing all their weapons in a lot of different ways. They've got a lot of versatile guys. Some of their running backs actually are better receivers than they are running backs. Some of the receivers are, so, yeah. I'm all for it. Like I said, now that we know that the Ravens have gone guard, I think you absolutely, the Steelers, go get that receiver.
It'll be interesting to see because we're going to know soon. Ty Simpson is being introduced on the stage. We know what the next pick is going to be. So 15 is next. Lots going on here at the NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. It seems like a great crowd over there, guys. And it just keeps growing. But hopefully not displacing too many people. Man, I still can't get past this Ty Simpson situation, though.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is a guy who played a year of college football, a year as a starter of college football, did not have the best year. When he went up against top-tier defenses, he got chewed up. I mean, go back to that playoff game against Indiana. They toyed with that man. And, he has good athleticism. He has a good arm. But none of his traits appear elite to me. I mean, and listen, Sean McVay, he knows what he's doing. He's won a Super Bowl. But, man, this at 13, I have to think this is a reach for them.
I just saw something from Adam Schefter where he said he told Matthew Stafford that he was going to do this. But he told Matthew Stafford, you can play as long as you want to play. This is not pushing you out the door.
I'm not pushing Matt Stafford out the door.
My point is, maybe they're looking at him as like, hey, if he's a year or two behind Stafford, then he's really ready to play. I mean, to me, that's a really high pick to take for a guy who might not play for 2 or 3 years.
I want to look at real quick here, Adam. Looking at Steelers' top 30 visits. Ioane's off the board. Fano's off the board. McNeil Warren is still there. Denzel Boston is still there. Makai Lemon is still there. Chris Johnson is still there. Those are the 4 guys that are projected to be first-round picks if you look at them. I am very intrigued to see if the Steelers stick to their normal creed. They take one of these pre-draft visitors they brought in that they've gotten a close look at here. Makai Lemon has been my number 2 wide receiver. I think it's ridiculous that he's fallen this far. But they may also say, you know what? We're okay waiting because we might still get one of these other receivers we really like. Or, you brought up Emmanuel McNeil Warren, if they see him as that guy. But other guys on my list right now, looking at Monroe Freeling, the tackle out of Georgia, I think he's a freakish athlete that could be considered. Again, I'm not on the tackle plan, but that would be an interesting pick. But Dylan Thieneman, right up in there, I have him as my 15th best player in this draft class, and my number 2 safety. This is an interesting spot to be in right now if you're the Steelers.
I want to talk through this scenario. If we see Tampa Bay go here at 15 and make the pick in the next couple of minutes here, and that would mean the Steelers are not jumping in front of the Jets. We think Makai Lemon might go there. What does that then tell us about the Steelers and what their intentions may be? To me, it would signal maybe the experts have been right that maybe they do want one of these offensive tackles who've started falling down the board. Whether Chris and I agree with that or not, I would think it would signal that maybe more so, other than Omar Cooper Jr. being the guy who's still out there.
What it would signal to me is that they want to keep all their picks. That they want to add as many players as they can, and you know what I mean. It still seems like 12 is a lot given what their roster is right now, but maybe they want to use, like to your point earlier, use 1 or 2 of those picks to move up tomorrow. You know, because they feel like there's more value moving up, and it's cheaper in the second and third round.
And they do kind of have some of those like fringy needs, Chris, where like they could take I wouldn't be surprised to see them take a punter, for example. I wouldn't be surprised to see them say, we need a return guy. We're going to use a pick just on that kind of specialist because we have 12. And maybe they want to use those picks in some fluky ways, in ways you wouldn't necessarily expect.
You can do that and still have 9 or 10 of picks to use.
True.
That's my thing here. You can get Kayden McDonald if you want to do that in the 7th round after you've traded away maybe your 4th and your 5th round pick to ensure that your top 5 picks are elite.
Well, Tampa made a pick, so they're obviously not trading for the Steelers.
Well, if they made a pick.
They made a pick. It says the pick is in.
Well, so if their pick is in, they're not trading.
They're not trading, which means the Jets.
Ruben Bain, edge rusher, off the board. He was my 7th best player. That makes Makai Lemon my highest ranked player still on the board here. And the Jets have been rumored to want a wide receiver. Do they go Makai Lemon here?
Well, he's the highest rated player on this board as well that I'm looking at.
Yep.
That's still left. Would you be as excited if they stayed put and grabbed Denzel Boston or Omar Cooper Jr.?
I like Omar Cooper Jr. a lot. I don't think Denzel Boston's the right fit for what they have right now, because I think that both DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr., both of them are outside guys. They're taller, physical guys. I think they need a separator. I think Omar Cooper is a better separator than Denzel Boston. But here's the thing. I think Makai Lemon is the best route runner in this draft class. I'll say Casey Concepcion is at times, I think, a better separator, but he has a drops issue that Makai Lemon does not. And I think Makai Lemon has a spectacular catch skill that cannot be overlooked. I'm really intrigued here now. You got Ruben Bain off the board. My top players left, I got Makai Lemon, Monroe Freeling, Dylan Thieneman, Jermod McCoy, and Omar Cooper. Those are the top guys. Then you get into the Kenyon Sadiq and Hakeem Mesdor category.
I think we're going to try to fit in a quick break here because obviously the Steelers, we don't believe, are going to try to trade into 15. We'll be intrigued to see what the Jets do. We're going to try to get a break while we can, and then we will take you straight up until the Steelers pick at number 21. This is the PG Steelers live stream, NFL Draft live stream. We're at Aslin Beer Company in the Strip District, a little bit further away from the fun, but not too far. There's still a lot of people down here and a lot of different jerseys I've seen moving through Aslin tonight. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We're out.
Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of the NFL, welcomes visitors from all over the world to share in the history, culture, and love of the game. In our internationally acclaimed Pro Football Hall of Fame, fans explore thousands of square feet of all things football. Or visit Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, an unparalleled event space where our annual Enshrinement Week honors the best to step foot on the gridiron. We never stop leveling up the experience for football enthusiasts, which is why we're building a state-of-the-art Hall of Fame village, including a football-themed indoor water park. When you're filled up on football and you're hungry for more, discover delicious food and drinks around town, sample a bit of it all on our walking food tours, and along the way, experience the greatest moments in NFL history come to life as public works of art. As the sun goes down, Canton's nightlife heats up. Sip a drink fireside with live music in Centennial Plaza, or catch a show at the Canton Palace Theater. Gain some yards and great memories when you visit Canton, Ohio, a Hall of Fame city.
Bring on the fun and bring home a new Honda. Road trips won't wait, neither should you. So bring on the thrills with a Honda Hybrid. Hit the road with high-tech features like available Google built-in and the efficiency of a Honda Hybrid. All from the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Performance brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
Canton, Ohio, the birthplace of the NFL, welcomes visitors from all over the world to share in the history, culture, and love of the game. In our internationally acclaimed Pro Football Hall of Fame, fans explore thousands of square feet of all things football. Or visit Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, an unparalleled event space where our annual Enshrinement Week honors the best to step foot on the gridiron. We never stop leveling up the experience for football enthusiasts, which is why we're building a state-of-the-art Hall of Fame village, including a football-themed indoor water park. When you're filled up on football and you're hungry for more, discover delicious food and drinks around town. Sample a bit of it all on our walking food tours. And along the way, experience the greatest moments in NFL history come to life as public works of art. As the sun goes down, Canton's nightlife heats up. Sip a drink fireside with live music in Centennial Plaza. Or catch a show at the Canton Palace Theater. Gain some yards and great memories when you visit Canton, Ohio, a Hall of Fame city.
Bring on the fun and bring home a new Honda. Road trips won't wait, neither should you. So bring on the thrills with a Honda Hybrid. Hit the road with high-tech features like available Google built-in and the efficiency of a Honda Hybrid. All from the 2025 Kelley Blue Book Best Performance brand. Buy online, reserve from select dealers, or hurry into your local Honda dealer today.
The Steelers NFL Draft live stream. We're here at Aslin Beer Company. Took a quick break. We're going to be taking you all the way into the Steelers pick at number 21 overall. And Chris, big news. We said we thought Makai Lemon likely would go to the Jets at number 16. They don't do that. They go with Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon. Very solid player. I think he's going to have a long career in the NFL, but noteworthy for the Steelers. They don't get him. The Lions are now on the clock. We've made the comparisons between Makai Lemon and Amon-Ra St. Brown, so we know they're probably not taking Makai Lemon because they already have Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, and also the Lions need to upgrade that offensive line, which is crazy to think, but they've lost guys to injury. I've had Monroe Freeling selected to them for quite some time, so I wouldn't be shocked by that at all. I don't see them going wide receiver. The next team, looking at the order here, the Vikings definitely not going wide receiver. You got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. The next wide receiver team I see, the Panthers at 19. That could be the Makai Lemon move right there. That the Steelers maybe they want to get ahead of that. You got some friends in the Vikings organization. Maybe you want to talk to Brian Flores. Can you help us out over here? Let's do a quick trade right here. Get ahead of the Panthers, but trade up and get Makai Lemon is still a possibility. But who knows? Maybe they can wait for him, and he does fall to 21.
And man, you got to get, if that's what happens, you got to give a lot of credit to Omar Khan for that and having the patience. It's a lot of teams get frenzied in these situations. The Steelers historically don't. They tend to be very deliberate of like, this is our guy, we're willing to move up for him, but. They tend to have good reads on these situations, so maybe this is a gamble that could pay off for Omar Khan. Getting very close. There's not a whole lot left. I believe we saw someone in the chat say Blake Miller being the pick for the Lions. That was a name that was mocked to the Steelers a lot today. and I think really specifically late this week, we mentioned earlier in the stream that the Broderick. No, go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, is Lemon here?
I believe
in Pittsburgh.
Yes, yeah. Channel 11 just talked to his parents.
My point is, if he's here, let's go down that rabbit hole. Conspiracy theory. The Steelers are going to get a guy that's here. There's no chance, right? We have to say that. There's no chance they don't get a guy that's here.
Definitely. Yeah, they're going to
get a guy that's here. The NFL has it set up. It's fixed, just like all the games are, right?
The Lions go Blake Miller at offensive tackle.
Yes, he was, as I was just saying, he was a name that was mocked to the Steelers several times. I believe there were 3 mock drafts.
Wow.
Big ones, including, I believe, Daniel Jeremiah, who were on Blake Miller as the potential Steelers pick. We talked earlier about why I didn't particularly like that. I think you would have been moving him off the right to the left side. You would be moving Troy Fautanu to the left side. Neither he nor Miller has played the blind side. Troy Fautanu played left tackle at Washington, but Michael Penix Jr. was a left-handed quarterback, so that was not the blind side for Troy Fautanu. So you'd be moving a guy who had not played the blind side into that spot, or potentially trying to kick Blake Miller into guard when he hasn't necessarily done that in his long college career. So if it was me and I was a fan, I'd be pretty happy that Blake Miller was not the pick in particular. Chris.
Blake Miller, I like him. I think he's a really good athlete. I think his athleticism piques a lot of people's interest. But the way that he moves was very intriguing. But yeah, I did not think he would go before Monroe Freeling and some of these other guys. Man, this board is falling in a very interesting way. It does every year. We always get surprises and places where we're a little. I thought Max Iheanachor, I believe that's how you say his name. I've been trying to learn that one all throughout the draft, but he's one of the guys I would also be looking at here that could go off as an offensive tackle here. I've seen our guy Matt Williamson, who worked at Steelers Nation Radio, former NFL scout. A great football knowing mind. He's been mocking Iheanachor to the Steelers for like a month. So could be a move. I still think Makai Lemon's got to be the project here. Looks like the Vikings are going defensive tackle. They're getting Caleb Banks out of Florida. That's very interesting. They get their D tackle, first D tackles off the board. That was a position that a lot of people didn't think would go too early in this draft class. A lot of people didn't like the defensive tackle class. Caleb Banks also rough injury history over the past year. Didn't only play 3 games this season, but was just at an extreme build. I think he's like 6'7", moves very well. Lots of good stuff there. In my opinion, man, I think that's a really interesting pick here. But Dylan Thieneman continues to fall, and Makai Lemon is now 2 picks away from potentially just being a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Two picks. We're getting close, folks. I did want to let people know, specifically here in Aslin, we are going to announce our giveaway winners after the Steelers pick, a little bit after that, after we've gotten our first pass of analysis through. So if you're here, make sure you stay, because we will be passing out our prizes, which are front page copies of Steelers Super Bowl victories of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette printed edition from the 1970s, and I believe the more recent Super Bowls. So if you're here, please stay. If you haven't come down to Aslin yet, we will be doing giveaways on both Friday and Saturday of the NFL draft as well. So if you'd like to come on down during the weekend, maybe a little bit more free time, that is something we may be able to hook you up with. So thanks to Logan for that. Chris, man, it's going to be hard. It's beginning to get hard to think about anyone other than Makai Lemon on this board.
It really is. A lot of people. I think he's been ESPN's best player available for a little bit now. He's been my best player available for a little bit now. He could I'm telling you, he would be a perfect fit for what the Steelers want to do at wide receiver. You got 2 big guys. He's smaller at 5'11", right, but he is tough. He runs through tackles. He runs around guys. He gets separation. He goes up and gets the football. Some of his abilities to snag high passes. He would be potentially at some point a top 10 pick or a top 10 receiver, for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, yeah. And I think he's a slot. You can put him in the slot and do a lot of things it's a matchup with other teams.
Oh boy, Makai Lemon is looking more real. The Panthers have selected Monroe Freeling, tackle out of Georgia.
Yes.
The Steelers are one pick away from Makai Lemon falling to them naturally.
I'm telling you,
this is nuts.
How many guys are left in the green room? There can't be many, right?
They're running out.
I'm just telling you, that's my conspiracy.
There's only 16 here, Paul.
Right, 17 here. And my point is, all I'm trying to say is the conspiracy theorists unite. They're not going to have the Steelers grab a guy that is not here. How about if he's on the board and they don't take him?
It would be the craziest.
There would be an uprising, especially if it was like, let's take the 5th tackle, or let's, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that's part of the issue is that the tackles all flew off the board before the Steelers pick, right? A lot of these guys that we had talked about. I'm scrolling down here. Caleb Lomu is 13th on ESPN's best available. We're at pick 19, right, with Carolina, which means you're already talking about the next tackle off the board being projected as very late first round or early second round.
Here's
pick.
something we haven't talked about, though. How about the Steelers stay put, they get their receiver, and then they use some of their picks to move into the end of the first round to get, another player, maybe a tackle or a guard or whatever.
Yes, I mean that's always a live possibility. We're not going to go off the air until 32, I think, for that exact reason. Although we have also talked a lot about, since the Joey Porter draft, that sometimes teams like to see how the first round goes and then make their trades with a full day to think about it.
Yeah.
The Steelers traded into that spot with Joey Porter well beforehand, and we talked a lot about in that draft of, hey, maybe the Steelers could trade back and still get their guy because
the Eagles have traded up to 20.
What does that mean?
There's rumors because they could be trading A.J. Brown away. Maybe they're trying to get Makai Lemon.
There you go.
Get in front of the
Conspiracy
Steelers.
theorists. My conspiracy goes to hell if they take him, because I don't know that there's anybody left in the. Is there anybody left in the green room?
I don't know, Paul. I don't know who was in and not in the green room. Yeah. I did not super track.
So the Eagles jumped up and stole the Steelers' thunder, basically.
Well, we'll see. Yes, there has been a lot of talk for a lot of different reasons about the Eagles trading A.J. Brown potentially. That report did slip out, I believe, in the middle of the week that they plan to do it before June 1st, and they plan to do it to the Patriots. I got my ESPN alert on that one and chuckled. I'm not going to go too far into that situation, but who else could the Eagles be trying to trade up to get? Do we have any bets on that?
Their offensive line has been wilting. There's a chance that, again, this could be where the Steelers' smoke screens of we want an offensive tackle could pay off. Because the only reason you trade up to from 23 to 20 is to get ahead of the Steelers. And in this situation, you might say, hey, we've heard they really want to tackle. We heard that they don't know if Broderick Jones is going to be back. So we want, let's go with, let's look at my offensive tackles.
Caleb Lomu.
Let's see, Caleb Lomu, Max Iheanachor. If it was one of those type of prospects, maybe they want to jump ahead of that. This would be where the smoke screen would be in effect. But I'm telling you, if Makai Lemon,
if he goes off the board, do you go with Cooper Jr.?
I think so. You want a wide receiver. The only Dylan Thieneman would be the other one here. Here's the other possibility: trade back.
Yeah.
Because now you're sitting here saying, well, wait a second, we can get Cooper Jr. or Concepcion. We didn't get Lemon or any of the top 3 guys. Let's be patient here.
I believe one of the final mocks I looked at for my mock draft tracker on Post-Gazette.com did have the Steelers make that move, and they ended up getting a tackle in that mock draft. I said, well, but look at the players who were still available, and Concepcion was on that list of guys that would be like, man, if you can get him at 24, I feel pretty good about that. We talked about the drops being the downside, but sometimes, Chris, I hate like when you get one word attached to a player and you reduce a player to one word. Yes, drops are not good, but I think he brings a lot of things to the table that could be interesting.
The Cowboys got a 4th and a 5th, it looks like, in exchange for the 20th pick and a 7th rounder. So, again, Paul, really light trade-ups.
That's what I mean, and I think that's been a theme of this is the ask is not nearly what it usually is for these trades. Interestingly enough, though, no matter what happens here, right? you're going to get either Lemon, you're going to get Thieneman, or Cooper Jr. All three of those guys, you know, they can't take all three of them.
Well, Paul, I did bring up the list of players that we know are in the green room. I believe of the guys who've not been selected, Keldrick Falk is on that list. He's the edge guy from Auburn. Colton Hood, the Tennessee cornerback. Let's go down this list. Kayden McDonald is still in that green room. He is the defensive tackle from Ohio State. I think that's it as I'm looking down. So there's three guys left, and none of them I think were high on our list of potential first round picks.
When I worked at the NBA, I was in the green room. I was, because it was part of what we did on draft night, right? You remember Rashard Lewis? Came right out of high school. Houston had 3 picks and told the commissioner, listen, we're going to use...
man. The Eagles have selected Makai Lemon.
There we go.
They went ahead of the Steelers and took their top dog. That is a heartbreaker, I think, for the Steelers, because I think they were thinking they could fall right to him. And what now? They have to sit there. Do they take Omar Cooper? Do they take Dylan Thieneman?
Yeah.
Either one of those guys
Steelers
would not be
the
pre-draft
clock.
visitors.
There are Steelers are on the clock, but what I was saying was that Houston told the commissioner, with one of our 3 picks, we're going to take Rashard Lewis. Well, they didn't. And the kid sat in the green room. You want to talk about the most awkward, uncomfortable. He fell out of the first round. He's crying. He's his teenager bawling his eyes out because he didn't get his guaranteed money. I don't know if I was a fringe first round guy, if I'd accept the idea of going to the green room, because I wouldn't want to be sitting there that long.
Yeah, that'd be tough. I mean, dang, this is some Pennsylvania on Pennsylvania crime here, potentially, Chris.
Philly just keeps beating up on Pittsburgh, man. They got the Flyers are up 3-0 over the Pens. They take Makai Lemon right before the Steelers. This is terrible for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I mean, they must have thought that there was a high probability that the Steelers would do it too, which, you know, lots of things can happen. Lots of things can be happening behind the scenes that we don't know, but it's hard not to speculate that that was the move the Eagles were making, and they knew that if Makai Lemon was there when the Steelers were on the clock, that they were going to take him. So this does feel like a potential missed opportunity. I mean, should we talk about it in that context, Paul, of they could have moved up to get their guy,
right?
They could have, and they let a team jump in front of them.
And what would it? I mean, given what it cost, the Eagles to jump the way, what would it have cost the Steelers to go one?
Nothing. We saw
almost
all the trades.
nothing.
Now here's the thing. Maybe they think that he's not that great, and you feel that Omar Cooper is still the guy that you want. I'm sorry. In my evaluation, Makai Lemon is an elite receiver prospect. I think they whiffed here. I think they gambled that the Cowboys wouldn't want to take a wide receiver. I think they overlooked the chance for a team to jump them. The Eagles did, and now you're sitting here wondering what you're going to do. Maybe you take Cooper, maybe you take Thieneman, maybe you take one of these tackles that's left. But to me, I think this is a huge missed opportunity for the Steelers.
And it's setting up whoever they pick tonight, Chris, to be, I think, a disappointment for the people in that crowd, even though we might potentially really like the players we were talking about a couple minutes ago. There are some really good players still available, guys we've spent a lot of time talking about on the PG Steelers YouTube channel. Dylan Thieneman's on that list. I've always said I like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Omar Cooper Jr., Casey Concepcion. I'd be happy with those players if I was a Steelers fan, Chris, but I don't know if I would be as thrilled knowing I really botched a potential chance to get Makai Lemon, and we know, listen, they're going to come out and say, this was our guy all along, right? They're not going to tell us that we thought that they whiffed, but just it's hard not to feel that that's what happened.
I think this is a mistake. I think the Steelers, and listen, Omar Khan has gambled and won with waiting on prospects. We all thought he should have traded up for Zach Frazier in the second round, and every pick in the second round. I remember we were doing a live show 2 years ago saying, gotta trade up, and Zach Frazier fell to them. And hey, they felt this way they knew Makai Lemon would fall to this point. But I think that the Eagles saw through their smokescreen of wanting an offensive tackle or this, that, and the third. They said they want Makai Lemon, and now he goes to the Eagles. Man, I think that makes the Eagles a really dangerous offense.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the Steelers might have missed an opportunity, but again, they can still get Cooper Jr. from Indiana.
Yep.
You said before you're not a big fan of Jermon McCoy.
Jermon McCoy, I think, is a great player, but his injury history is too scary, and he still hasn't healed. And I think that's what everyone's
wait, hold up. He's the number one guy left on this board, at least, right? He's the number one guy.
Yeah.
But you're right. He just had a torn ACL, and that was a year ago.
But the thing is he has not shown that he's healed. He hasn't run. He hasn't shown. Like, a lot of people are questioning about his knee right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Darn. Interesting times here for the Steelers. And what direction? Okay, we talked about they could do this guy, they could do this guy. I want to hear from each of you. Which player who's left do you want to see the Steelers take at this point, knowing Makai Lemon is off the board?
My highest ranked player is Dylan Thieneman. That is my highest ranked player right now.
Best player, position of need, is that the guy? That's the way, the direction you go?
I really think that a wide receiver would be better suited. I think that if they wait for safety, they can still. I think Omar Cooper is still a starting wide receiver right now if you put him in this offense. But I think the question is, who's the better? If Thieneman's the better player, I also think you could get Traydon Stukes still in the second round, who would also be, he's a slot corner and a safety, very versatile, could fit that.
And he was a visitor.
And he was also a visitor. This is tough, man. This is really tough.
I would like to see them take Omar Cooper. I mean, I've said all along, I've written all week, listen, go get an offensive guy. And it doesn't seem like there's any tackles left. It seems like the guards left are probably second round and below.
Yeah.
Go get the best receiver that fits what you need.
He's a slot,
he's a slot receiver. He's 6 foot. He's, you know what I mean? To me, make your team better. Go get that receiver.
A lot of disappointment in the chat. We're seeing folks talking about the disappointment they are feeling. In 4 years we've been doing these live streams, Chris. I don't know that I've seen that kind of palpable disappointment. I think the Steelers have been able to get people excited about whatever direction they went.
The Steelers are on the clock right now, and there's a minute 20 left. They are trying to make a trade. They are looking to trade out of this.
Especially since by now we would have seen the pick is in.
The Eagles played these guys. They would either they are looking to trade out right now. I'm telling you, Omar Khan is working the phones trying to trade back, get extra day 2 value, which would be fine at this point because maybe you can get Omar Cooper or Casey Concepcion, but they got to make a move literally in 57 seconds right now.
Well, that's going to be that. And the thing is, if he steps up to the stage.
Right. Pick is in. We have there is a pick being made. We don't know who it is yet, but the Steelers have put the alert out on their own Twitter channel.
Yeah,
I haven't seen any of the insiders reflected
on ESPN. They're saying the pick is in. We don't know who it is. So this might be Roger Goodell walks out with the envelope at the last second, and we find out.
Maybe they kept it under wraps for this reason, so that there was suspense, right?
Maybe, yeah, suspense in front of the Pittsburgh crowd here in the North Shore. Ooh, boy.
Bearded Dutchman is telling us in the chat, we are so stupid. Omar knows what he's doing. Is there anyone on the board that would make you believe that? Listen, we know he knows what he's doing in terms of getting a good player.
I'm not saying that he's not. I'm not saying that he's dumb. I think
it was a missed opportunity.
I think they missed the opportunity.
And listen, especially since we all believe they're going to have a 42-year-old quarterback, 43-year-old quarterback. You got to go make that receiving core as good as you can.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's not going to be an F pick because you didn't get like a graded F pick because you didn't get Makai Lemon. We're not going to overreact here and say that it's a total disaster and you're not going to have no chance of getting a good player. But I think it's hard to give them an A+, right, after this pick. It's hard to say, they nailed this one, based on who we believe they were positioning themselves to get.
My goodness.
Chris, do you have the pick?
The Steelers went offensive tackle with Max Iheanachor out of Arizona State.
Are you serious?
They have tripled down on offensive tackle for the third time in 4 years. I gotta say, that's a stunner.
He is not a person that I saw mocked to the Steelers pretty much
anywhere.
Any point.
I'll give him credit. Matt Williamson is the only person I saw putting his name there, and he's a Steeler Nation radio guy. He's a former NFL scout. He knows his ball. I know he's probably jumping up and down. He loved Matt. And Max Iheanachor is a good player. But A third offensive tackle?
I don't know what you're doing. Hey, good news is he had the second fastest time among linemen at the combine, because that really matters for your tackle to be fast. This is a stunner to me. This to me, and I'm going to say this, and Omar Khan is a brilliant guy. I think Andy Weidel knows what he's doing. This is now 2.5, and we've been talking about it on our show, together and apart and whatever for the last 2.5, 3 years. How badly have they neglected the wide receiver room? I'm sorry. I know they got DK Metcalf. I know they brought in Michael Pitt. What are they doing?
Listen, Paul, I understood in previous years because you needed to rebuild the offensive line. But you rebuilt the offensive line. They were a good offensive line this past year, even while they dealt with injuries. Now you're sitting here and you're taking another offensive tackle. I mean, effectively, you're giving up on Broderick Jones. You're saying, we're moving on from him.
Yeah.
You're gonna, and maybe the move is move Broderick Jones to guard. Some people have talked about that potential. I'm curious to hear, what is the crowd going to be like in Pittsburgh? What's it going to sound like in the North Shore when they announce an offensive tackle?
Yeah, I need to take one of my earphones off so I can kind of hear the TV.
Chris, just for the folks listening at home, where did you have Max Iheanachor on your big board overall? Not best available at the moment. When you entering overall, the night, where was
my 28th best player?
Okay, and so the Steelers take him 7 spots before where you maybe were anticipating him going in this draft. So I think the question becomes, is he an overdraft here?
I think this is a bit of a reach. I think that
I guarantee you they got scared because the Chargers picked next, and don't the Chargers have a bunch of injuries and stuff on their offensive line?
The Chargers have been talking a lot of O-line, D-line.
I don't get it.
We're watching the Steelers pick here at Aslin Beer Company. Jerome Bettis is at the podium announcing the pick, surrounded by some youth football players. Roger Goodell off to the side. The terrible towels are twirling in the front row. I think those people were told twirl no matter what.
Yeah, really.
Right. Well, going further back, panning out in the crowd, you're not quite seeing as many.
I mean, seriously.
He is Max Iheanachor is getting the call on the broadcast. Before we get too far, Chris, tell me about this guy's game. We can talk about the implications here in a minute. We can talk about missed opportunities, why the Steelers did this, where they did it. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but we should scout the player. We shouldn't totally steal the moment from this guy because this is something he's been working toward his whole life. Look, what can you tell me about him as a player?
Great size at 6'6", really great athlete, extremely quick feet. Like they're showing the highlights here. One thing that I did like about him, I didn't study him extremely hard because I just didn't think offensive tackle would be the move, but whenever he was jumping back into a pass protection spot, he was in his spot. His feet were under him. He was in control of his gap. I liked him there. He's a good run blocker. Like, he's a good tackle prospect. Like, I think he's a good fit there. But he's also a right tackle. They already have a right tackle in Troy Faltano. I am just perplexed by this. Now,
well, go ahead.
Maybe they plan to move Troy back to left because that's where he played in college. But again, his left was basically a right tackle because he played with a left-handed quarterback. So I'm confused. Where do they plan on putting Iheanachor? Is he going to go right tackle and Troy goes to left? Does he go left tackle and Broderick Jones goes to guard? There lots of questions here. I mean, really good athlete, really great size, but man, this is perplexing, and it makes me wonder, when do the Steelers plan to address wide receiver?
Well, it says here he has an inconsistent punch on film, struggles to consistently harness power. He can also be overpowered if he's off balance. Oh, boy. But to your point, Chris, he's a right tackle, and this is a reach for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm right with you.
Now they're standing up and hugging, but there was just a little. You
could have traded back. Now here's what I'm going to tell you, Chris. If you go and look at the teams that are still to pick, right?
Yeah.
How many of them are receiver teams? Chargers? You tell me. Chargers?
Nope.
Cowboys?
Oh, so Chargers couldn't wait to take a wide receiver.
Okay, maybe. Okay,
yeah.
maybe. Cowboys?
Cowboys? No.
Browns?
Yes.
Okay. Bears?
No.
Bills?
Yes.
49ers?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're the Steelers and you're thinking about getting your receiver and you want one of those two guys that are still on the board, you better move up now, is what you're saying.
Yes.
You better move up.
Unless they really like some of these round 2. Maybe they really love Jeremy Bernard. Maybe he's a great fit. But to me, I think they got punked by the Eagles. I think Philadelphia saw what they were trying to do. They said, let's jump ahead and take Makai Lemon. And again, the fact that the Steelers were on the clock with less than a minute left in their pick. Normally their pick is in fast. They're making their jumps. Them to picking this late tells me they got punked. They had to adjust what their plan was. And at the last second, they said they tried to trade out of the pick. And now they're sitting here saying, all right, we'll take out the guy that we think is the best for us right now.
I will say, you see, we always laugh at how they're always hugging each other and pats on the back in these draft rooms, these war rooms that they show on the broadcasts. Not a lot of that, Paul.
No.
In the Steelers room, there was kind of a tepid handshake between, I thought, Art Rooney II and Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy was kind of standing quietly to his left. Not a lot of running around the room. I don't want to read too much into it, Chris, but it visually looked a little bit deflated in there.
I think because the Chargers get Akeem Messidor, I think that's who they were going for. They wanted a pass rusher that fits right exactly with what they were trying to do.
At some point, are they going to get somebody that can protect Justin Herbert, or are they just going to let that kid get the hell beat out of him every week?
That's a good question, because their top tackles that they've drafted are good players, but they get hurt.
They get hurt all the time,
Yeah.
and that guy, unfortunately, gets killed every week. Like, people who say, oh, he's overrated, he's this, he's that, and it's like, listen, he gets killed and hit almost every play. I mean, I get it, because did they lose the Bosa, the one Bosa brother they had?
I think they did. I think one of the Bosas is gone.
So basically, I get it. You need somebody that's going to be an edge rusher, but if you have a quarterback who's, considered a franchise guy, you've got to protect him.
Some speculation in the chat related to Aaron Rodgers, Chris, that at the end of the day, the plan appears to be to bring a quarterback back who will turn 43 during the 2026 season. Is it as simple as, to have any success, you're going to need to be able to protect that guy as he gets less and less mobile? I don't know. I'm struggling with my own words here. Why they would go that direction instead of trading up for Makai Lemon, but I guess let's talk that through. What influence is and should Aaron Rodgers be on the way the Steelers have handled the last 30 minutes?
Aaron Rodgers, I guess he could say, well, we're getting another pass protector in Iheanachor. I think that he could look at that, but it's a rookie, and he's going to take time to gel. Rookie offensive linemen always do. Again, I'm perplexed, guys. I got to say, and you guys know, when I'm right on about the pick, I'm ecstatic. I'm getting it. I'm getting everybody out there. This is a very sideways pick. This is the first time, and I cannot think of the last time the Steelers, if ever, have picked a player that was not a pre-draft visitor for them. I think this was a panic pick. I think that the Eagles jumped ahead of them and took their guy, and they were out of options, and they said, well, we value offensive tackle over safety. He's better. We view him as better than these other wide receivers available. We're not sure about Broderick Jones' status. Let's get him. I think that their move was going to be Makai Lemon, and I think that they got caught off guard by the Eagles, and they were left holding the bag. I think this is, Iheanachor could be a really good player. He could be a great tackle. This is not saying that he can't be. But I think that this is the Steelers reacting rather than
being proactive.
And that's not wherever you want to be on a draft night.
Well, my biggest complaint through the whole process with a potential tackle pick is, yes, you might be able to get your tackle for the next 10 years. I think some of these guys have that potential. Maybe Max Iheanachor ends up being that guy who plays for you for a long time, holds that spot down, does what you hoped Broderick Jones would do. That said, it feels like you're going to have to jump through a lot more hoops to get there than you might have otherwise at a lot of other positions where you had, in my opinion, more glaring needs. There was a lot of smoke going into this draft, Paul, that they really believed in Dylan Cook. I believe Ray Fittipaldo said that he got that read off of them, that there was a lot of faith in Dylan Cook. Clearly not, because now he's your fourth tackle.
Well,
right?
Here's what I don't understand. I mean, Chris, you talked a little bit about it, and Adam, you talked a little bit about it. The guy basically grew up playing soccer and basketball, and so he actually went to junior college. He hasn't played a ton of football, which probably means he's going to be a developmental guy. If you're the Steelers and if you're in their place, you don't have the luxury to take a first-round pick that you probably are not going to be able to play this year.
Yep.
Like, you had to get somebody that you could get on the field this year to play. I just don't understand what they're doing. Obviously I don't do all the scouting that they do and all that other stuff, but I look at this pick in the big picture of what the Steelers are and what they've been and what they want to be, and I say it does not fit what they need.
Can they salvage this evening with a trade up? I mean, we've talked about the prices being light. We've got we're here, the 23rd pick is in, so you've got about a third of the night to go, guys. They still have all the picks that they were armed with going into the night. You have 12. If they come out of this night with one more pick at one of those positions, if it's Dylan Thieneman, Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper Jr., Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, those guys that we discussed, does that change the tenor of the evening for you at all, where they still got one of those guys that we were talking about early in the evening and added a tackle as well?
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. And we talked about this a little bit before. And, Chris, if one or two more picks go off the board and it's not a receiver, if you're the Steelers, don't you have to go up and listen? You get a chance to get Omar Cooper. If he's still on the board 2 or 3 picks from now, you have to move back into the first round and get him.
I think so. I mean, again, unless you feel that like a guy like Jeremy Bernard is just that high level of a player, but man, I have a hard time seeing it right now. This is I keep looking at. I'm trying to think of all the different scenarios that a GM would be in this situation. You're trying to call and trade back, you're not getting it, and like you tweeted this, Paul. They could have traded back and got this guy. I really believe I'm with you. I believe they could have. Wow, Malachi Lawrence going 23rd overall. That's an interesting edge right there.
That's the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's the
But
Cowboys.
you have to have someone who wants to trade with you, Chris, and because it was such a short span of time between when the Eagles traded up and when the Steelers had to pick, you had maybe 10 minutes. So even if there was someone you wanted to trade back with, did you not have the time to call them? Because you were just kind of banking on him falling to 21. I think that's why people are using the words bamboozled, those type of things. It does feel like they were stunned and didn't have a chance to react to this situation and reflexively maybe just said, who's the top guy on the board? There's a minute left. Who are we going with?
I think that's what happened. A lot of people, I'm interested to see the comments here. Let us know in the comments here on YouTube. Do you think the Steelers panicked here and this was the Eagles outthought them, they outmaneuvered them, and they got their guy, and the Steelers couldn't find a trade partner because everybody knew they got outmaneuvered, and they said, nope, make that pick or give up this pick without us giving up anything, and the Steelers said, all right, we'll just stay here.
I can't read everything that's being said in the chat. Let's put it that way. Pathetic clown show. Yeah. Stupid pick. I mean, that is how the chat is taking it.
Here's what I'm going to tell you, too, though. Here's what I'm going to tell you. We've seen this before, and I don't know that we've ever seen this with the Steelers before, but we've seen this with teams before where they thought they had a guy, right, and someone moved in and got him right before, and they just basically lost their mind and just grabbed somebody, and everyone was like, what are you doing? They were so stunned that they lost Lemon, or you know what I mean, that they were like, they didn't really have a plan B at that point. Hey, but the good news is Hines Ward talked to Omar Khan and said this guy has the makeup of a Steeler. Who cares?
Who cares, yeah.
Who cares?
Listen, here's the other thing about Max Iheanachor that's really interesting. He's a raw player. I think he has less than 20 starts in college. Like, he is very much Broderick Jones all over again. Look, I think he's a better athlete than Broderick because again his footwork is really good. He's really quick. He had great testing at the combine, and I think that's what turned on a lot of people to him. I think he has a lot of good traits, But man, I have to wonder what was the plan here that didn't go through, because clearly they were waiting for something. I think that again they got jumped ahead of. They made a panic move.
Yeah, it was a panic pick.
And now the question is, what's the rest of the board going to look like? Because here's the other thing: the Steelers, they still need a wide receiver. They still need a guard. They still need a playmaker defensive back. They still need a nose tackle. All four of their top needs that I had for them in this draft class are still sitting there as needs because they didn't address it. And you don't have your top pick anymore. So what are you going to do? You're going to trade up back into the first? You're going to trade up higher in the second? I said if they stay at 21, they could afford to trade up on day 2 at places that they want. But to me, I think this is a this is one that, unless Iheanachor comes back and really takes a serious step up and grows, I think he has a really high ceiling, for his athleticism. If he grows into the parts of him that where he is raw and he can improve that, if all those things happen, great, and he could be an awesome fit. But those are a lot of ifs. And you already just got done playing those ifs with Broderick. You're not done playing with those. You're still waiting to see if it pans out for Broderick Jones.
That doesn't feel like they are.
And it doesn't seem like they are. You're giving up on it.
Right.
And I'm not so sure that this is the plan.
But here's the thing: is he legitimately going to be ready to play at the high level?
Good question.
I mean, again, it sounds like he's a little bit of a project that probably is, going to take some time to develop. They didn't have the luxury to do that in the first round this year.
Let me frame the question this way. If I told you Max Iheanachor ends up getting a second contract from the Steelers, will that redeem this pick? Will you look back and say you didn't get Makai Lemon? Let's say Makai Lemon goes on to have a very solid career, but the guy you did end up selecting ends up getting a second contract, ends up locking that one of those tackle spots down for the next 5 to 10 years. Will we remember it differently? Or are you still going to look at this draft and say, man, there were so many other needs, and they went in that direction after what seemed like a preparation for Makai Lemon?
I'm sorry, I'm judging this draft on this year. If you're bringing back a 43-year-old quarterback, I'm judging this draft on this year. You needed to get players to help you this year. Because if you're not looking at it that way, right, go with Will Howard as your quarterback. And say we're going to actually develop a team over the next 2 or 3 years. But when you bring back Aaron Rodgers, when you trade for Michael Pittman, when you do some of the things they've done, and it tells me you're not interested in.
Yep.
It tells me you're trying to win as much as you can win this year. So if you that means your top picks have to be impact players. And I just don't know that they got an impact player for this year. This guy might be a great tackle. To me, they needed players that can help them this year.
Well, I mean, should we take as a fact that they are bringing back Aaron Rodgers? Is this the type of thing that Aaron Rodgers looks at and says, maybe I don't want to be involved with this because it's going to take longer to get where we want to go? So how would you feel about that? That's how I would look at it.
I think if you're the Steelers,
they just took a receiver from a guy from Texas A&M,
Casey Concepcion. We talked a lot about.
I had them going Casey Concepcion with this very pick. Man, I think the Browns are having a better draft than the Steelers right now, and it's been a while since I've had to say that.
So that means to me that the Steelers need to think about moving up and getting a Cooper Jr.
very soon.
All right, we are going to try to bring in Noah Hiles. We had some technical difficulties earlier, so if it doesn't work, we apologize. We'll get those worked out for Friday.
Does that mean I can get a drink real quick, like a water?
Yeah, go ahead, Paul. We're going to try to bring in Noah Hiles here. 1 second. Noah, can you hear me?
Yeah, guys, can you hear me?
I cannot hear you. Can the stream hear Noah?
Check 1, 2. Can anyone hear me?
All right, no. So I'm just going to ask you the questions and let you riff because I can't hear you at the moment. Max Iheanachor ends up being the choice for the Steelers. You are on the North Shore. What was the reaction that you saw over there?
It was similar to what you're hearing me say right now, Adam, because there was no reaction. It was pretty silent. I posted a video on my personal X account, and as soon as they read his name, I was expecting this big crowd pop, but nobody reacted. It was everyone's kind of reaction was, who? I think most of the people in the crowd were expecting a receiver's name to be said, or maybe a defensive back, a sexier position. In reality, that's not the route the Steelers took. So yeah, the reaction was very underwhelming from what we all thought was coming.
Again, Noah, don't know exactly what you said, so I'll just throw another question at you. What was your personal reaction to the pick, knowing what we knew about the Steelers' needs going into the night? Listen, our chat, I mean, if the North Shore was anything like our chat, it's a disaster area right now. A lot of things that I can't say out loud on camera. People are not happy. What were your thoughts on where they should have gone, what they should have done, and how things have unfolded here?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was. I don't know if I have that drastically negative of a take. It's certainly not the excitement that a lot of people anticipated for the biggest night in the history of our city. I kind of look at it as like getting gifted a savings bond for Christmas. There's a chance that it develops into something really good over time, and we look back at this draft pick in 3 to 4 years and say, you know what, hey, like, we didn't look at it as an exciting thing at the time, but it ended up being something valuable to us long term. There's a chance of that, or it just ends up being a dud, and it'll be something that everyone's pissed off about forever. And time will tell. But yeah, right now it was very underwhelming, but at the same time, they needed a left tackle. This tells me that Broderick Jones is not in a good place, and the Steelers maybe weren't necessarily pleased with his play to begin with, even when he was healthy. So maybe this is something that kind of explains where the Steelers' offensive line was more than we really knew.
No, what do you want to hear from ostensibly Omar Khan, Mike McCarthy? You're going to start addressing the picks. Then we're going to hear from Max Iheanachor a little bit later. What do you want to hear from them about this pick that may or may not change your mind about it? Is there anything that they can say to you? Is there anything they can say to the fans who are clearly disappointed? I did, just on some of the camera shots, started seeing people shuffle out pretty quickly after the pick was announced. What do you want to hear from them as they're getting ready to speak here on the South Side about this pick?
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not their job to react to fan reactions, right? Like they've got to do what they think is best. At the same time, I mean, when everyone thinks you're not doing that, you've got to really make sure you're right. So they've got to be able to justify this in a logical way. They have to maybe explain what's going on with Broderick Jones a little bit more than what they have done before. And you know, I would like a detailed layout as to how this guy's going to get utilized. Can they move him to guard? Like, what's the plan? I guess is what I'd like to hear, because you know, I felt like a tackle was going to get taken in this draft with one of the 12 picks they have, now 11 remaining. But yeah, I didn't think it was coming this early, so I think they have some splaining to do.
Noah, one sec. Yeah. No, I did want to ask you, because you are our guy on the scene. In general tonight, the NFL draft's in Pittsburgh. I think we've gotten away from that at different points in time. We will get back to discussing this pick here in a second. But what's the atmosphere been like? How did it compare to your expectations for the event and all the buildup? We were talking earlier. We were all able to find parking here in the Strip District when we were not necessarily expecting it. I was able to get down from Green Tree to the Strip District in about 10 minutes. So it seemed like, you know, from an event perspective, they delivered here, and people were able to get to the event, and the rest of the city was not stuck in total gridlock. What have you observed on the North Shore tonight?
I totally agree, Adam. The city hit a home run today. For as disappointed as fans seem to be in the city's football team, the city's leadership and everyone who is in charge of coordinating this event deserves endless praise, because day one, for how busy this was going to be, I think it was about as flawless as you could have hoped for. They did a really good job of making sure the bulk of the foot traffic stayed in the areas that were prepared for that foot traffic. That would be Point State Park. That would be the North Shore. And while there were a lot of people in those areas, I went out of my way to go in lines for busy restaurants, to go in lines for merch stores, for events. And I didn't wait in a line longer than half an hour, and I was there during the busiest time. So I was very, very pleased with the event element of today. I think the city of Pittsburgh deserves a ton of credit. They did a fantastic job coordinating this and putting this event on.
Noah, I'll get you out of here on this. What do you want to see from the Steelers now? We're at pick number 25 here. Dylan Thieneman goes off the board, another name we've been talking a lot about. So in the last couple of picks, Casey Concepcion goes to the Browns. Dylan Thieneman goes to the Bears. So these were potential targets. We said, hey, could the Steelers trade back up into the first round? Still a couple guys out there. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Omar Cooper Jr. was a name we talked a lot about in the mock drafts. If the Steelers jump up and get one of those guys, Noah, is the evening salvageable in your mind for people? Are people waiting to find out? And just from your personal perspective, would that change how you view the evening, or is it going to be hard for people to shake this one off?
I mean, yeah, it's going to be. I mean, if they trade back into the first round, it'll be like, like classic Miami Heat fans leaving early only to see their team come back and win. So, because I feel like most of the Steelers fans are gone already from the North Shore. So if they trade back into the first round and take a receiver before this night ends, it'll be a great ending to all of this. I think a lot of fans will be very happy because, like you mentioned, Adam, I mean, there are still some solid receiver options on the board right now. What do I like to see? I mean, I would like to see them potentially do that. I don't know how realistic that is. But tomorrow, I think, yeah, you make a push. You got to draft before pick number 53. Go out and get the best skill player, best pass catcher, I should say, available. You have 11 picks worth of a surplus. Package them together and move up 15 spots to go find your guy to complement this receiver room. That's what I'd like to see, and I think that's what the whole town would like to see.
Noah, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate you dealing with the technical difficulties. Thanks for your perspective from the North Shore, your perspective on what the Steelers did. Very much appreciated. We're going to let Noah get back out there, potentially maybe hear from him later, depending what the Steelers do. But thanks for hopping on, Noah, and we'll talk to you again real soon. All right, we are back here at Aslin. Chris and Paul are back. We're continuing to digest what's happened for the Steelers this evening. A relentless stream in the chat of still negative reactions. I want to talk through Casey Concepcion and Dylan Thieneman here because they were names we've spent a good chunk of the evening talking about. They go off the board so quickly. Some of these targets we talked about, the Steelers potentially trading back into the first round for, maybe hoping they can fall and trade up for in day two. They're off the board. So it quickly feels like the opportunity is slipping to salvage the evening here, Chris.
Yeah, it's not looking like they're going to trade back up in. I will say the Seahawks at 32 only have 4 picks in this draft class. They only have a first, a third, and a fourth, and after that they have no more. They have no picks. Considering some of the players they've had to lose because of just not being able to pay after winning a Super Bowl. Maybe they want to. Maybe they want some more day 2 picks on their ledger. Maybe you can give them a third, give them your second, and then give them like a late third round pick or a fourth round pick, and get that 32nd pick off their hands. But you're running out of time right now here to salvage the day. I think, and especially now that Casey Concepcion's off the board, that's that to me he was maybe the best route runner. Man, this is now Dylan Thieneman's off the board to the Bears. I had them going safety, but I thought Thieneman would go earlier. Metzador's off the board. He wasn't a target for the Steelers. Or was he? Because maybe they wanted to go get rusher, they went tackle.
Have you seen who the Texans have taken yet?
No, I have not.
I'm just wondering who. Because so far, the last two guys that we just talked about, Concepcion and Thieneman, I think they would have been much better picks for the Steelers.
Yeah, they would have been. They would have fit needs.
This is a terrible job. I don't care, if this guy turns into a 5-time or 6-time All-Pro. It doesn't matter if he doesn't help them this year. That is what is my biggest issue. Sounds like he's a good project. Hey, Hakeem Olajuwon was a great soccer player, and eventually came to Houston, the Cougars, and they turned him into a basketball player. But he was a project when he first started. You have to draft impact players when you're 10-7 team that has a 43-year-old quarterback likely coming back. It makes no sense what they did here.
Keelan Rutledge is the name that goes to the Texans at number 26.
Keelan Rutledge?
A guard. Is that
That's a really good guard. I thought he would go in the second.
Wow. So now, again, to our point, there's what, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 picks left in this round.
Yep.
Okay? 6 picks left in this round. There's still 2 really good receivers on the board, right?
The Niners have traded their pick to the Dolphins.
What are the Dolphins going to do?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
What did they do with their last pick? They took a offensive tackle.
Yeah.
But again, I think this is just a bad job by the Steelers. I don't want to hear the guy is going to be a great player and his potential and all that stuff. You needed an impact player for this year, and I don't care. You did not get that guy.
Paul, and you know me, I'm Mr. Positive.
Right.
I'm Mr. I see a lot of angles. I see very few angles that make a lot of sense for the Steelers right now. I agree with you. Look, I think he's a talented prospect, but there's a lot of talented prospects at this level in the first round. That's why you have it in the first round. I think the Steelers got backed into a corner and they made a tough decision, and I think it didn't work out their way. And maybe it will. Like you said, maybe Iheanachor turns into that guy, right? Maybe eventually he becomes that guy. But I think tonight, as far as the process of how they made their pick and how it came about, I think they got outsmarted by the Eagles.
Let's talk about the Keelan Rutledge of it all, and then we're going to announce our contest winners here. Keelan Rutledge was a name we spent a lot of time talking about, particularly in the last couple of weeks, as a potential day 2 answer to the guard question if you don't get Vega Ioane. He goes in the first round. So quickly, these guard options that were seen as potential plug-and-plays are jumping off the board. Chris, what's your view of the guard situation, Keelan Rutledge going this early? He was a day 2 guy. Sometimes I saw him dropping to the 3rd round. Thought late in the process he might go in the 2nd. He ends up going in the 1st.
Yeah, I had Keelan Rutledge as my 46th best player on my top 100 board. I'd be really concerned about getting a starting guard right now because Emmanuel Pregnon and Caleb Basantis are the only other 2 that I think are plug-and-play starters right now. Here's the other thing. Because now, again, you need a wide receiver. You still need a guard.
Right.
Like if you're telling
That's what I mean.
If you're telling me you're so confident in Brock Hoffman, who you just signed for nothing in free agency, and Spencer Anderson was a 7th-round pick to start at left guard, why weren't you confident in Dylan Cook to start at left tackle and Troy Fautanu to start at left tackle when Cook started at the end of the season, played very well? Troy Fautanu shows you was very good. Now you're triple dipping on a position that you pretty much solidified. Even if you're going to go back there eventually if Broderick Jones doesn't work out, I'm sorry, because now you still have all these other draft needs for positions that you were weak in that are still there, and you don't have your 1st-round pick anymore. This to me, I think, is just a big miss.
Well, and again, like I said, there are people that are arguing. There's always the counter arguers and they're arguing that this guy has a high ceiling. Listen,
he does. He's a really good athlete.
But they need him to be good this year. They need him to be ready to play this year, and he won't be. So that is my objection to him more than anything else. I don't have a problem that they took a tackle. It's that they took a tackle who's not ready to play.
Well, and Broderick Jones did play in year 1. I mean that was something that happened.
That was fun.
It was an experience, and you needed to develop him to do that. So it's possible.
And it took time.
Right. And he was not where he was before his injury this season, and who knows, we may never see him there again. Certainly, that's the direction that this pick is pointing. I did want to get to the winners of our contests here. The Day 1 Draft Livestream First Place prize, a Steelers Super Bowl tin set, goes to Sunena Rostagi. Sunena. Our second place winner taking home a Pittsburgh City of Champions poster is Jacob Creighton. Congratulations to both of our winners. If you're here with us at Aslin Brewing Beer Company, come find Logan Robbins to claim your prize. If not, no worries. We'll be reaching out to collect your info and get you your prizes. And don't forget, we're doing giveaways every day of the draft, and entries are cumulative. So head over, scan the QR code, and get yourself entered. Contest winners, check it all out.
We're still waiting on the Dolphins.
We're still waiting on the Dolphins pick. It feels increasingly unlikely.
Chris Johnson, cornerback, San Diego State.
He was a visitor to the Steelers as well.
Good cornerback. A lot of comparisons to Ike Taylor as far as a skill set, but with ball skills. I really like Chris Johnson. I think this is a good pick by the Dolphins here. I would have gone with Colton Hood if I wanted a corner here, but still a good player. But another player the Steelers could have gotten that would have fit a need for them goes off the board.
So now there's 5 picks left.
I'll be back in a bit.
Yeah, Chris is going to be right back, Paul. There are 5 picks left in the evening.
There are 5 picks left, and you're trying to basically move up.
I don't know. I don't know that they are.
I'm just saying you should. I mean,
it just looked like a feeling of resignation, Paul, and I wonder if they were ever as high, because Omar Cooper is dropping, right? He's a name we liked. He's a name we thought could be a potential first rounder. He tested very well at the NFL Combine, but before that, he had been seen as more of a day 2 guy, second, third round. He is falling down the board, so I think it is worth saying it's not just the Steelers who passed on Omar Cooper Jr. There are now what? We're on the 26th pick. You've had 5 more teams go that direction.
Yeah,
so
but only one took a receiver.
We do have a trade here with Buffalo. Buffalo's traded the pick to New England.
Okay. But only one went receiver. That's, I mean, these other teams went defense and offensive line. So I don't know if he's, you know what I mean? Like who? Now the Bills needed a receiver. It's kind of interesting. Now the Patriots moved up. What do they need? Receiver, probably. They could probably take a receiver, right?
Yeah, we'll see what direction they go. Chris is mouthing tackle off camera too.
Who's even left on the board?
Caleb Lomu is the big name at tackle, who we could potentially be looking at as the next tackle off the board. So I don't know. Maybe the Steelers just were not happy enough with Omar Cooper at number 21. Maybe he was not. What are you saying, Chris? Lomu was, okay. Lomu's the pick. But Omar Cooper Jr., they just maybe didn't have him that high on the board, Paul. I mean, sometimes it comes down to, in those panic situations, Andy Weidel puts the board together for a reason, right? He says, these are the players we think are best in order. We all do it with fantasy football drafts. They do it at a much higher level in the NFL. They say, these are the 32 players we think are going to go in the first round. Then you make a consideration for need. They must have perceived they have enough of a needed tackle to justify Max Iheanachor being the highest rated player on their board, and maybe they just didn't feel that way about Omar Cooper Jr. in that spot.
Well, the Patriots, did he say, they took the tackle, right? So McCarthy said at voluntary minicamp he had all the offensive linemen work on the left and right side. Lots of speculation that Troy Fautano could move to left tackle or left guard. Lots of evaluators thought he could be a great guard when he came out 2 years ago. So that's what Ray Fittipaldo was saying. That Mike McCarthy just said at the compound over there.
Yeah, I think that's cope, Paul. Frankly, because again, is what I was talking about earlier. You have to jump through hoops to justify this pick. You got to move this guy here and this guy here. Maybe this guy could do this. Maybe this guy could do this. As opposed to, we know this player can do this for us in this situation. So they're going to have to juggle, and it is going to require coaching. It's going to require management, right. And maybe the Steelers are equal to that task. We're going to learn. Mike McCarthy is a veteran coach. It's probably not the first time I don't know exactly every pick he made in Green Bay. Probably not the first time he's made an unpopular pick with the fan base. So there's a chance we could be proven wrong. It just feels like there's extra steps here.
So you move Fautana to left guard and hope Broderick Jones can play left tackle, and then this guy's your right tackle? I'm not sure I like that. I mean, if that's the theory or that's what they're talking about, I'm not sure I really like that.
Paul, I did want to talk through one other name. I think he might be the highest rated visitor at this point. I'll have to ask Chris when he gets back. Denzel Boston did come to Pittsburgh. It's the first time we've said his name tonight, but he did come to Pittsburgh for a visit. 6'4", big guy. I have thought at different points in time, listen, you've got 6'4", DK Metcalf. You have 6'4", Michael Pittman Jr. Are you really going to slide Denzel Boston at 6'4" into that mix? There's been some. Ray Fittipaldo had Denzel Boston as his final 7-round mock draft, first-round pick, and said he could work in the slot. He might have the versatility that Mike McCarthy has talked a lot about and has been looking for. So he's still out there. He's another name we haven't talked about who is still there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think when we've talked about what they're looking for. Cooper Jr. fits probably what they need better than Boston does.
Agree. I do agree with that.
So, I mean, I think that as we get down here to the end of the first round, boy, if I'm the Steelers, I have a hard time staying where they are at. I want to make sure I get a guy like Cooper Jr. that's going to help me, it's going to fill an actual real need. That's the biggest thing to me.
Yeah, but they brought in Boston. They did not bring in Cooper Jr.
Yeah,
I mean, but what does it mean? What does it ultimately mean? Because the pick they ended up making in the first round, we believe the first time, or at least one of the first times in recent years, was not a visitor. Max Iheanachor did not come to Pittsburgh in the pre-draft process. So they've already changed their strategy significantly from Mike Tomlin in that regard. So does it mean anything that Denzel Boston came here and Omar Cooper did not?
I mean, again, I'm just not seeing the overall vision, I guess, that they have. The Chiefs pick, I mean, they could go receiver, right? I mean, they always need receivers out there in Kansas City. I mean, they could go receiver here. But my point is, as it gets a little later in the first round, I don't know. I mean, Buffalo moved back a couple spots, so they're probably not going to trade out. San Francisco probably needs a receiver as well. Seattle is a team, as Chris said, that only has 4 picks, so maybe they'd be willing to trade back to get a couple more picks. I think the next 4 picks the Steelers are not going to pick. I just think they're probably not going to trade up.
Paul, I did want to talk about maybe the bigger implications here of, we said they're bringing back Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if you necessarily have to or can say that at this point. I think you can make an argument that there are some of these day 2 quarterbacks who you can justify a 3rd-round pick on. Would you prefer that at this point, knowing that you didn't get that target in the first round that you were looking for, assuming some of these guys go well before the Steelers are set to pick next at 53? Yep. Is it possible that we're talking about a pivot, and that not signing Aaron Rodgers potentially works in their favor and gives them the chance to pivot into more of a developmental type season than a go-for-it type of season?
Well, that would be, plausible, except that's not how the Steelers operate, and they've made it very clear that's not how they operate. Do you know what I mean? So they don't want to go through a season where they're rebuilding. They want to go through a season where basically they are having a chance to compete. That's how they are. That's what they want to do. They want to, be a team that's in play for 9 or 10 wins. And so I don't see any way that they're not going to have Aaron Rodgers come back.
Yeah, we will see on that front.
Do we know the Chiefs
the pick has been in for Kansas City for seemingly 20 minutes here.
Right.
They're doing the little zoom in now, so we'll see what that pick is. Every one of them is going to be interesting to me now, Paul, because the Steelers have not yet gotten any name that I had been thinking about going into the evening. So then the question is, how many of these guys fall? Yeah. Roger Goodell is coming to the podium
Peter
now.
Woods, Clemson, defensive tackle.
Interesting. He's a name that had been mocked to the Steelers a little bit early in the process.
Another defensive tackle off the board.
Interesting trends tonight, Paul. Another Omar Cooper falls again, and Denzel Boston as well.
So the Chiefs got the cornerback and the defensive tackle. The funny thing about that is the Chiefs have been a team that they've lacked weapons on offense, that they've needed to help their offense. Their defense has been really good. And their first 2 picks they used on defensive players.
Mansour Delane was their pick at number 6 early in the evening. We're going to reload the best available here and talk about some of these other guys. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren's now the second best player on Mel Kiper's best available.
Right.
He's number 2. He was a visitor to the Steelers. Maybe you wonder if there's, in the last 3 picks here, he's a name that you think about. Did the Jets trade into this spot?
Jets traded. Okay. The 49ers traded with the Jets.
Yes, it's going to be a very, if they don't start going off the board here in the last 3 picks, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Steelers handle Friday.
Right.
Because you have Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out there. He was a visitor. You have Denzel Boston out there. He was a visitor. Omar Cooper Jr. is the name we've spent a decent chunk of today talking about. Chase Bisontis is number 11 on Mel Kiper's board. He was a guy I believe Chris had mocked to the Steelers as the 2nd-round pick. So there are guys that we've talked a fair amount about that could be available to the Steelers, and we know that often teams like to trade up into those early picks of the 2nd round because everyone has a chance to take a breath, size up the situation where they stand after the 1st round, and make some moves when there's not the pressure of a 10-minute clock on you. You wonder if the Steelers might be one of those teams that's making some calls tonight, saying, can we move up and pick a guy kind of in that Joey Porter Jr. slot at the beginning of the 2nd round that we feel good about, that maybe changes the conversation a little bit.
Right. I mean, I think that's the Jets moved in here. Here's my thing: if the Jets, if one of those receivers doesn't go off the board in the next 3 picks, it'd be interesting, like you said, to see if the Steelers go up to get him. But the Steelers basically will say, well, we've been validated, because these guys weren't in the 1st round, so we're going to get a good receiver, when we pick in the 2nd round. So there's no reason for us to jump. They took Omar Cooper.
There he goes, off the
Jets
board.
just took Omar Cooper.
And that's kind of been the move tonight, Paul, is the trade up for the receiver. It hasn't just happened to the Steelers. It's happened a couple times now. So that was the value on Omar Cooper Jr. in the end at number 30 overall, 9 picks after the Steelers.
And you know what? I kind of like what the Jets have done here. People thought they were going to go receiver first. They end up got the best tight end off the board, and now they've got a receiver, So to me, they've done a pretty good job of adding some weapons. Now it's a matter who's their quarterback? I can't even think of who their quarterback is. It's not Justin Fields.
No, Justin Fields was
benched. Who is it? Look it up.
We're looking it up, folks.
Yeah, Geno Smith. Okay, so they at least got him some weapons.
Yeah, and Geno Smith is in that part of his career where he probably needs them.
Yeah, and
he can get the ball to guys, but you have to have the talent to do it. So, it's still a lot of teams in the Steelers' position too, Paul. No quarterbacks here, so you have to kind of make moves anticipating the quarterback next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting now to see what the Bills do and what Seahawks do. And now that Cooper's off the board, I don't know. I think the Steelers are probably not going to trade up to get a receiver at least.
To get one of these guys that we talked about as a day one guy, or Boston's the only one left, I believe, that group in that
and
high
he probably
tier.
Doesn't fit what they need. After Boston, you've got Zachariah Branch, Chris Brazil, Jeremy Bernard. I mean,
Bernard's the next name I would look at most closely, Paul, because we've talked. Brazil I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but he falls in that big guy category, does big guy stuff. And you would find the package tantalizing maybe if you didn't already have DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman Jr., but you do. So the fit there probably isn't perfect. Zachariah Branch is a name that I have not been looking at super closely because he's kind of a one-trick pony, right? Of a straight slot guy, can get some yak for you, but the Steelers maybe have a guy like that in Roman Wilson. So I think Jeremy Bernard's that next guy that kind of fits in what Chris has called the separator category, where he could maybe make some plays inside and outside. We've got, I believe we've got Brian Batko. I'm going to bring him in, get his reaction. I'm not sure if I'll be able to hear him or not, but I will at least pose the questions to him. Brian, we tried to bring you in earlier. Sorry, we lost Brian there.
That was bad.
We might try one more time here. Technical difficulties. Brian, are you still there?
It looks like the Titans just traded into the Bills spot.
It says the Bills pick is in here at number 31.
Trade alert. I think it's the Titans pick. Traded. The Bills traded it to Tennessee.
Buffalo's traded the pick to Tennessee.
Titans are now on the clock.
Apologies there, folks. Brian, I think we got Brian back here.
Hey, guys.
Brian, can you hear me? All right. I don't have the feedback, so I think we're good. Brian, listen, big unpopular pick here in the chat. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention to the fan reaction, but people are not happy about Max Iheanachor at number 21. I read some of the energy in the room. They showed the camera shot. Not a lot of big slaps on the back, hugs, that type of stuff. What did you hear and see on the South Side tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it frankly sounded like a GM and a coach kind of trying to, validate. Oh, boy. All right. Okay, you guys got me? But it was hard not to wonder if the Eagles moving up to 20 may have thrown their plans out of whack. So Omar Khan said they followed their board for what it's worth. And, I guess Iheanachor 0 sacks allowed last season, according to Pro Football Focus. That's a start. A lot of talk of position flexibility on the offensive line and trying to find their best 5 group, and they feel like he's a guy who can fit into there.
Brian, I don't have you in my ear, but the stream can hear you. We're coming to the end of the first round here. Is there something the Steelers can do? Is there an option on the board that you think potentially could salvage the reaction of the fan base here on going into day 2? Roger Goodell's reading the pick for the Titans here, so I'm going to it's Keldrick Falk from Auburn. So Denzel Boston's a name we've talked a lot about that's still out there. Omar Cooper Jr. just went off the board. I believe Emmanuel McNeil-Warren's still out there. As you're looking into day 2, what is your assessment of where we're going from here?
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I mean, they still have plenty of ammunition to trade up here as Friday gets underway and second and third round gets underway. If there is someone they're surprised fell to this point, I don't think he's a Steelers target necessarily, but I'm pretty surprised that Ohio State defensive tackle Kayden McDonald did not go in the first round. I think that's going to come as a shock to a lot of people. Jermod McCoy, the Tennessee corner, had some injury questions that popped up with him. But I think when you look at, I almost want to second guess everything now, because I say the perceived interest from the Steelers in some of these players, and Max Iheanachor came out of left field or right field if you consider that he's a right tackle. I mean, there wasn't much linking them to him, none of those pre-draft visits. He mentioned a formal meeting at the combine that went well and that they had a Zoom call. So, maybe in the next era of Steelers draft regime post Mike Tomlin, we got to find out who's on the Zoom calls more often with the prospects. I don't know. So Denzel Boston certainly still, strikes me as someone who would make a lot of sense on day 2, but I don't think he would fall to where they're picking. So they probably would have to part with some of those other draft picks if they want to move up and snag the Washington wide receiver, who a lot of people thought would go in round 1. And potentially even to the Steelers.
What is the plan for Max Iheanachor now, Brian, from what you heard? I think the thing that we had discussed here in the room was it doesn't mean you can't draft a good player in this spot, right? Like he could still be a great pick. He could make Pro Bowls here. He could be your offensive tackle for the next 10 years. But it does just seem like there are a lot more hoops that you're going to need to jump through to make that happen. Juggling the Broderick Jones situation, potentially bouncing Troy Fautanu from a place where he had success in 2026. What was the stated plan, to the extent there already is one, for Max Iheanachor and his ability to adapt and their ability to shuffle this offensive line in a productive way?
Yeah, the definitive statement was just he's going to start out at tackle. He's not a candidate to move to guard, which I didn't really think so, but you kind of have to question everything, I guess, at this point. And yeah, Adam, I mean, that's why I wasn't really on board with any of the projected right tackle type prospects being linked to the Steelers, because I just thought you're kind of creating problems for yourself when you had your right side solidified. Now, they didn't discount the possibility of Max Iheanachor moving over to left tackle. Maybe they think he's got the footwork and the length and still somewhat raw ball of clay to mold to go ahead and do that. And then the Dylan Cook Broderick Jones conversation is either over or it's a guy who's a bridge for your number 21 overall pick in 2026. I'm just, to go back to the original question when you first brought me on, because I'm going to have to run here soon, now that the first round's over, we're going to be checking out of Hotel California, so to speak, here on the South Side. I didn't really even necessarily see him as a slam dunk first rounder. I thought a team would probably grab him at the end of tonight, mid to late 20s for a developmental tackle piece or even someone who could play right away on the right side. I didn't see the fit with the Steelers, and I'm certainly even more confounded when you factor in some of the other players who were still on the board, not just, in my opinion, the talent level, but the need that the Steelers had. And by that, I mean, KC Concepcion, Dylan Thieneman, Omar Cooper, all of whom went within the next 10 picks, and even a Denzel Boston who's still out there. So I'm kind of scratching my head as much as people are out there. It seemed like on the broadcast a very tepid reaction down at the stadium. So Steelers certainly were not swayed by public pressure or anything like that, but I certainly do wonder as we close down tonight, from me at least, if they were thrown out of whack by the Eagles moving up there to number 20. And as Omar Khan said, they kind of had to default to their board. Maybe losing those 2 minutes in the first round, 10 to 8 minutes, actually did play a factor there in terms of their process, but maybe we'll never know.
All right, Brian. Well, thank you. We know you got to get back inside there, so we're going to let you go, hop out, and we're going to wrap things up here. Hope to get Christopher Carter back before the end of the stream. The Seahawks are picking at 32. So thanks, Brian. Head back in and make sure you stay tuned to Brian's coverage over at Post-Gazette.
Yep, we'll tap in tomorrow. It'll go more smoothly,
thanks, Brian.
I'm sure of it. Yep, see you guys.
All right.
That was very bizarre because I couldn't hear him, but I'm glad I'm sure he had lots of good things to say. He just wasn't in my earphone.
Flying by the seat of our pants here tonight.
No, I think it was good, but it's just, we're trying to get it done, and we have gotten it done. I mean, it's been fine. The Seahawks now, I guess we're not going to see.
We can keep refreshing here on the internet. They're starting to turn off the TVs here at Aslin Brewing. The night is winding down. Folks are getting their last beers in. So we will find out who Roger Goodell announces here for the Seahawks and let you all know and assess where we are here.
Kedrick Falk, obviously from Auburn.
Falk went to Tennessee at 31. He was the pick there. So we'll see who Seattle picks up. But Paul, the disappointment has not ended in the chat.
Oh no, people are angry.
We've kind of been trying to, like, I don't want to say we've been trying to promote the pick and give people false hope on anything, but it's just people are not having it. They're not pleased with this pick. It's going to be very unpopular for a while, I think.
Well, there's no question, and it's especially true if he's not ready to play. If he's not ready to play this year, or if he's, a little bit of a project this year, it's not going to be good, right? People are going to be angry. And there's a lot of people saying, this draft is really about 2028. Well, if that's the case, then, as I've said, just make Will Howard the quarterback this year and see what happens.
Chris is back. Chris, several names went off the board that we found interesting, since Jadarian Price from Notre Dame, the running back, goes at 32 to wrap up the first round. So the evening is over. The Steelers will not be making another move for Thursday. Chris, Caleb Lomu was the pick when you were off camera. Yep. Peter Woods, Omar Cooper Jr. goes.
Yep.
Any thoughts on any of those three picks?
Have you guys seen the story that Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport are reporting about? How
I have not seen it, no.
They have confirmed, both of them, that the Steelers were on the phone with Makai Lemon talking to him while Howie Roseman made the trade. It's an official story. It's out there. They have it. It's not a conspiracy. It's not a theory. They got caught off guard.
Yeah.
They were flat-footed. They were unprepared, and they got outmaneuvered by the Eagles. This is now a fact, not a rumor, not a thought. This is the reality of what they're in. And considering that the Flyers are up 3-0 over the Penguins in the playoffs, you might as well make it a 4-0 right now, because they just outsmarted the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, as far as the remaining players, Omar Cooper going off the board, I expected him to go off the board in this round. I'm not shocked by that at all. But now you're in a position where Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper, I guess looking at this, Denzel Boston's still available. You could try to take him at wide receiver, but
Jeremy Bernard was a name I had brought up right before you hopped back on.
I think he's a really good second-round fit at 53, but I think that it's going to be a lot more sour, because that would have been great if Ioane was your first-round pick.
Right.
Or if, if they had traded up for Caleb Downs, or if they'd gotten Dylan Thieneman. But now you're getting a guy who could be a solid receiver for you. I think he's a good receiver prospect, but there's so much I think that he has to work on. I think that right now they have to regroup. They have to figure out a new plan.
Who was the last pick for Seattle? I didn't see it.
Jadarian Price, the other Notre Dame running back, and by all accounts, he's a very good pick there by them. They needed a running back. That makes a lot of sense. But the Steelers got some serious work to do on day 2 right now.
Paul, what's your reaction to that report that the Steelers were on the phone with Makai Lemon when the Eagles traded up to get him?
It's exactly what I thought. I mean, it's exactly what we said. They panicked. They thought they had Makai Lemon. They didn't have a plan B. They were, you know what I mean? And then when he was taken out from underneath them, it's almost like they just said, oh my goodness, and we've seen teams do that before, where they lost the guy they thought they had because someone traded in front of them and got him right then. I honestly think it was like a panic pick. They just didn't really know what they were going to do.
And again, to let this, the draft is in Pittsburgh.
Right.
This was your chance to shine in front of the entire world, to plant your flag and say, we are here, we are making right moves. Man, I think here's the other thing, and this is one of the many elephants in the room right now. This is the biggest action that the Steelers had to take, the biggest responsibility they had without Mike Tomlin at the helm. And now they've clearly been outmaneuvered and outsmarted by another team getting the player that we know for a fact that was going to be their pick if the Eagles didn't do this. What else is going to happen very soon?
Well, and here's my question of how you then arrive at Max Iheanachor as the first-round pick. Is it simple as he was the best player on their board, and they, when they were in a position to panic, they say, we're going to go with the guy that we liked the most, regardless of need, because I think the frustrating thing for a lot of Steelers fans is you're going to compare him to Dylan Thieneman now, right? You're going to compare him to Omar Cooper Jr., these guys that people were at least primed for on some level of like, okay, you didn't get Makai Lemon, but you still got these guys we spent a lot of time talking about. Max Iheanachor was not that guy. He was not the guy we spent a lot of time with. So how do you arrive at the pick after that disaster happens to you and you don't get the guy that you were prepared to pick?
Well, that's what happens. You panic and you grab a guy. You know what I mean? Like that's.
You don't want to be like the Vikings, who once literally let the clock run out and then they had to forfeit their pick. Like that would have been the only thing that could have been worse than this. Was them being like, we missed it. The Pittsburgh Steelers have forfeited their pick.
Yeah.
The Rudies would have had to hide.
Right.
This is pretty rough. But I'll say this: they still have lots of day 2 ammunition. They have 4 picks tomorrow to go through. There's still some really good wide receiver prospects out there that I think who can be impact players this year. I like Chris Bradshaw out of Tennessee, Denzel Boston out of Washington, Jeremy Bernard of Alabama, but none of those guys are in the Makai Lemon range. That was an elite player you had right in front of you. All you had to do was cough up a 4th round pick, and you would have been ahead of those guys.
Yeah, and I think the other part of it is they do have 4 picks on the day 2, but 3 of them are in the 3rd round. Like it's not like they've got like 2 second round picks or whatever. So if they want to go get a player, they're going to have to use one of those 3rd round picks probably to move up a little bit.
Yep.
Guys, I feel like there's a stunned silence in this room, and that we could keep talking about this for a while. We got a lot of time tomorrow, but we should probably get to final thoughts here as it's getting a little bit after 11 here on the East Coast. Been a long day for a lot of people, so we're probably going to wrap up. Stay tuned to postgazette.com. Lots of coverage of the 1st round pick coming from the South Side with Brian Batko and Ray Fittipaldo. We'll have a couple short form videos, so make sure you're keeping your eyes out for that. But final thoughts here. It feels like a kind of a cliffhanger of you could keep talking about this for a while.
Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts are they better do some special things on day 2, because this is a very underwhelming day 1, and I don't know that this team could afford an underwhelming day 1. Again, I don't think any of us are sitting here saying this guy is going to be a bust or not a good player. I think we're all saying the same thing, which is he's probably not going to be ready to play this year at a high level because he's a developmental guy.
Exactly.
This team probably can't afford a developmental guy in the 1st round.
I mean, if he comes out and develops really quickly, great. But like you said, that's what you did with Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones was a developmental guy, and it was fine back then because you were still rebuilding the offensive line. But you've been rebuilding the offensive line.
I've written this. I've said it on these podcasts. I've always viewed a tackle pick as a wheel spin, right? And you're kind of running in place with it, and maybe it will help you maintain the team that you've had. But is it moving the ball down the field to progress, to win a playoff game, to go deep in the playoffs? This does not get us there.
This is not there.
Pretty much in most circumstances, unless this guy becomes a perennial Pro Bowl caliber type of guy. Maybe he will. Maybe we'll be proven wrong. But even in that case, what is the marginal difference between what you had with Broderick Jones and what you might have with this guy? What is, you're always talking about value. Where is the value?
I don't see it.
And
Not right now.
That's my concern.
Yeah, Adam, I think you stated that very well. It's the same reason, and maybe less so, why I said they shouldn't take Kenyon Sadiq, because they've got really good tight ends. Why would you go and get that? And here's the thing. If they went and got Francis Maui Noah because he somehow fell to 21, I'd be different here. I'd be like, okay, this guy was a premium tackle who everyone said was a high level. Okay, yes, it's a redressing of the offensive tackle position, but you got like one of the best players at this position. You got the guy I think is the 6th best tackle in this draft class with your 1st round pick. And here's again, you could have gotten Omar Cooper. You could have gotten Dylan Thieneman. You could have gotten guys that would play right now and be an impact player and help you improve the roster as it's stated right now. Iheanachor maybe someday gets to that level, but man, I don't see it right now. I'm with you. I'm with Paul. I think this is a big whiff by the Steelers.
In fact, he was the 6th tackle off the board, Chris.
And you know what? Early in the night, we talked about that.
Yep.
We said when you're picking where the Steelers are picking, if there's a little run on the position, you end up with the 5th or 6th best guy.
Yep.
And that probably isn't what you want if you're picking 21.
And I'll have to check. There was only one tackle taken after Max Iheanachor. That was Caleb Lomu at number 28.
Woof.
So you basically caught the end of the run in the end instead of the front end. So not a great place to be for the Steelers. It'll be interesting to see what the reaction is from our folks. On the south side at this time, Jerry Dulac was over there as well. So if you're just joining us for the first time tonight, please subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate having you along, not just for the journey for the rest of the weekend, but OTAs are going to start. Minicamp's going to start. You're going to get these faces in here. There's going to be a lot going on in Steelers world leading up to training camp, so subscribe to the channel for that. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. We always appreciate that very much. And I mentioned post-gazette.com. We'd love to have your subscription there. There's a lot of stuff we end up talking about on our podcast that starts on postgazette.com. So if you want to see it there first, get a subscription and check us out. Jerry Dulac, Ray, Chris, Brian, Paul, they'll all be there in the next day. Paul, something you want to say?
No, we're good. Well, other than the fact that the Pirates lost 6-1, but that's a different story.
Well, and the
rough
Penguins
days in Pittsburgh.
So it's a bad night all around.
Rough times. Well, thanks for joining us tonight, folks, at Aslin Brewing. Shout out to them for hosting us. It's been a great host. We'll be back here on Friday night. We'll be starting about an hour earlier, 7 p.m., so make sure you tune in, have us on your second screen. When, if you're a Steelers fan, you're probably hoping for a little bit better. We'll talk to you all later.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.